this afternoon. All coming up on Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland.
Scottish football lives here.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
Goal! Goal!
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Welcome to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. Billy, we just got Jens Bertholascu in really late there, but I just wanted to come to you and talk about the amount of changes he makes to his starting lineup, Billy, the personnel, and they all seem to come in and it doesn't really seem to affect the performance.
Yeah, he's got Kaninaki making everybody feel involved, and I think that's a special thing as a manager. If you can do that, then you'll have the full squad backing and they'll stay right behind you, especially when you get defeats. I like his downplay one when blame the turkey and the Christmas dinner when the results start going wrong as well. So, but if you don't know when you come to a stage, you go sometimes, I don't know what I'm going to get to. I don't fancy many goals. I've got a really good feeling that this could be a cracker, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, looking forward to an open game. I just saw some of the United legends in the park there before the game, Billy.
Oh, McAlpine, Hegarty, Malpass, to name a few. I just love seeing that side of the day. I mean, in today's market and today's football, they would have been superstars.
Yeah,
and
great guys as well. Great guys as well. We've had them on the programme. Fantastic. So Billy's up there at Tanhouse. We've got the games coming into the studio here. Alan Preston is at the game at Amon Vale for us. That I'm expecting to be not such an open game with so many goals there, Alan, would you think?
I would think so, Kenny. I think it's going to be very tight, but it's lashing the rain here, and obviously the pitch was heavily watered before the game, so this will be a very, very quick surface that they're going to be playing on, and it's very windy as well, must admit that. So we'll wait and see what happens. We're just about to be underwear here. I keep saying Amon Vale, it's not that now.
I know. Same with me. It's changed names so many times. That ground, the Set Fair Arena, I think, is that the latest name. I think that's the one that the last time I was through there. Anyway, so Alan will be there at that game. Livingston against Dundee. You can just see they're about to go underway. Lashing rain there, underway now at Tanneridge. We're at 4 games in the Championship today. So we heard earlier on some technical problems with Willie Miller at Gayfield. They're both against Partick Thistle, so we'll just get Willie on occasionally when there's a goal up there. He'll bring that to us.
Kenny. Love that. Hope he's reversing the charges. Absolutely love it. Honestly, hope there's about 100 goals at that game. He's going to keep phoning in.
And I can't think of a worse ground to be on the phone at when you're struggling to hear with that howling wind and you're trying to hear when you're phoning into the programme. So good luck, Willie, if you're tuned in any way at the moment. So Willie's up at Gayfield. Chick Young is watching Queen's Park against Dunfermline. What are you expecting from this one, Chick?
That you got a howling wind with Willie, no matter whether there was a problem with the phone or not. But I was actually Kilmarnock. Queen's Park have started here with an injury, a bit of treatment right in front of me, just the first minute of the game, and it's similar weather conditions at Leicester Hampden. Great playing surface here at what's the City Stadium now, will always be Leicester Hampden. I agree with you, Kenny. It's difficult to start changing names. It's Hampden Park now got a sponsor, but it will always be Hampden to me. I think I'll just look at this situation. It's Grant Savoury actually who went down. I think he's going to recover. He's been on a period of treatment. He'll have to go off, but it's a free kick to Queen's Park, just into the Dunfermline half. Savoury looks okay. He has recovered both to the chest actually. He comes off the pad, but he'll get back on, I'm sure, and start the game. So yeah, it's going to be difficult in these conditions, but it's a great, as I said, great playing surface here.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Next stop then is Campbell Morton against Airdrie. What are you expecting from both these sides today? The away side, Ian, have been in a decent run of form.
They have. I mean, I'm surprised Wick Sinclair hasn't been offered the job yet. I've not read that he has. So the players have just come off the pitch, Kenny, just to keep you informed. There's a problem with a net at one of the goals to my left at the uncovered terracing. So they've just come off the pitch just now. You know, Morton are in a decent run of form as well in the league. I know they lost during the week against, I think it was Stirling Albion in the Challenge Cup, but yeah, do you know what, in games like this, Billy Dodds was down here last Friday. It's very, very similar conditions. What you've got to have is endeavour and fight, and both teams will need to show that to get the 3 points, but still not kicked off yet, Kenny. Here they come again. The teams are coming back out.
Right, let's hope they're underway very shortly there. Let's get to this game at Starts Park. I'm really interested in this one today, particularly in the back of these strong comments from Tony Docherty last weekend. Rory, what are you expecting from this one?
I haven't seen a lot of Ross County, so I'm interested to see how they perform and how they play, because I think we all expect more from the players they've got available to them. Wraith Rovers last week were defensively very, very strong. O'Dara and Hanlon at the back were man mountains, really good, as was Lewis Stevenson. The right back actually scored a hat-trick last week, Jai Rao, so hopefully they can get more opportunities offensively. In terms of Ross County, I'll be interested to see. So it's very windy here. We were a couple of minutes late kicking off. The ball hasn't been in the pitch all too much, so just getting underway properly now, Kenny.
Rory, you touched on it at the top of the programme, and I mentioned there that the strong comments from the manager, Tony Docherty, last weekend. It was interesting being in the studio with Tom and Stephen Craig and just watching their reactions. We hadn't heard, obviously, the interview before it was broadcast on the programme, and I think we all felt it was quite strong and actually a bit of a gamble perhaps in the manager to see in terms of how the players react to that. How would you have reacted to that? He was effectively calling into question the mentality of a lot of his players. He said he's found out an awful lot about them in recent weeks and there'll have to be changes in January.
Yeah, well, these types of conversations and speeches from managers during difficult moments happen within the changing room, Kenny. You know, January coming up, you need to buck your ideas up, you need to get the finger out, it's not good enough. And he's maybe done that enough times within the dressing room to think, do you know what, I'm going to go public with it. It is risky, it catches headlines, but he obviously feels it's the right time to do it, and he'll want a response from the players, because if there's plenty of games between now and the transfer window to show and prove that he doesn't need to go out and sign a whole lot of players. So as I said, it's words I reckon the players have heard before directly from Tony Docherty, just not in the public domain.
Goals going in.
He might not be there in January if they keep getting bad results.
That's a good point.
The dog's a great boy, he's a great lad, but he's probably just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it my way now and I'm going to call them out, and it's been good on them, because they've been dreadful, absolutely dreadful. He might not get that chance.
Can't beat a bit of honesty.
Exactly.
He's got a wee smile on his face. We'll get back 2 weeks. We'll get back 2 weeks.
Can't beat honesty from managers, Rory. Isn't that right?
You're absolutely right, Tom. 100%. It's the easiest thing to do now. Just agree.
It was actually brought up off the ball. Stuart and Tam were talking about that. They loved that debate a few weeks ago, and it was a good debate.
Yeah.
And actually one that I saw, Tom.
No, listen, Tom, I would love it as well. I would absolutely love it. If managers come out and did do that, it would make, obviously, tongue-in-cheek, saying I agree or whatever else, but it would be amazing, Tom, if managers did come out and do that. I just don't think if managers came out and spoke in that fashion about other players on a consistent basis, I don't really think it benefits anyone. I don't think it's healthy for anyone, although it does make headlines. So I do agree with you in the sense that it's great to see, it's great to hear. I just don't know if if it'll happen all too often.
No. Well, it benefits. It benefits us trying to get an idea of what managers really think.
Yeah.
So Robbie Keane comes out and he does it. Jens Bertolascu's done it. Other managers have done it. Other managers will continue to do it. Derek McInnes.
No, but Derek didn't name. I know that Bertolascu named Hanley. Derek McInnes didn't. He just said defensively we thought we knew who was going to be on the ball.
That was trusty.
Going to be left on the, but he didn't name him.
Yeah, well,
I just felt the Hanley stuff was a wee bit too far, Tom, but I do take your point.
Yeah.
It was a good debate on social media after that. A lot of journalists backing yourself up, Tom, and of course
I think it's two different cultures. I come from a journalistic background. I want information, and that's the culture that I come from.
Let me give you a few goals, because I know there's a subject Alan's keen to bring up, so let me just bring you a few goals first of all. So down in England, Liverpool 1, Brighton 0, Ikitiki with a goal in the first minute, and Dumbarton 1, East Kilbride 0. A bit of a shock in the cards there, certainly it's early doors. Dom Docherty with that goal on 4 minutes, and Inverness Thistle 1, Hamilton Accies 0, Mitchell Robertson with the opening goal there on 3 minutes. Alan, we had a wee chat during the week, and you're very keen to bring up a subject. It's actually causing you quite a lot of concern, quite a lot of anger, the ticketing, Alan, for the World Cup.
Shambles, absolute shambles. And I think that the SFA and the rest of UEFA should get together. I think the Scottish Government should get involved. They're trying to stop the government for ticket touting. And ticket touts in this scenario are now FIFA. They're going to be the ones that are taking 30% of anything. And you can charge what you want for it. If you have a ticket, you put it on their resale site, you can charge what you want, and it can be sold as many times as you want as well, and they'll get their 30%. It's absolutely scandalous. Football is for the working man, and it's just simply not this World Cup. We're now going into 4 quarters as well, which is for adverts and more money coming in. How much money do these guys want? It's just an absolute nonsense. Germany was brilliant, absolutely magnificent. It was one of the best weeks I had watching football until the football actually started. It was great. There was that many Scots there, 100,000 Scots over in Germany. It was absolutely amazing.
See, on the point about the tickets, I mean, absolute agreement, and I think the SFA should be coming out and saying something.
Too late.
So they said no comment. We approached them, they said no comment.
The time for the SFA, FIFA, and all these other governing bodies was a long time ago.
Totally, but it doesn't stop the fact that they should be seen to be supporting their fans.
I'm sure.
So, as much as it might not be able to do anything, the fans need to feel like the SFA have got their back on it. It might not come to anything, but it certainly is a worthwhile exercise for the SFA. On the fact of the quarters in the football, again, I've got no doubt that there will be an advertising element to it, but I've got to push back slightly on it, because if all you need to do is look at the comments from Enzo Fernandez, the Chelsea captain, during the Club World Cup, he spoke about how the heat was unbelievable and that he was feeling dizzy during the Club World Cup in America. So there has to be an element taken into consideration with player health. Now, whether a 3-minute break is going to make a huge difference or not, they have to be seen to be doing something. I've no doubt that they're going to exploit advertising, but I don't think it's just purely that.
Right, goal,
and it's Scott Brown. It's a deep cross from McMullen to the back post. It's headed down, and there's Scott Brown. I don't know how he gets there first. It's difficult from my vantage point to see how a defender doesn't manage to make first contact. Scott Brown's there, inside of the left foot. 1-0 Raith Rovers.
Wow, the story just goes on and on and on.
It does. But back to tickets.
Just to say, a Ross County fan will join us late in the programme. I'm really interested, you St Tom, to hear his thoughts on things right now.
I am. Look, it's a grim situation. Look, it's early days in the game, so let's see what happens. But that doesn't look like it's getting any better. It's a compelling situation there for all the wrong reasons for Ross County.
They actually haven't started too badly, Tom. Ross County have actually been the better team. It's not been great, but they've been the better team. It was a long ball up the pitch. It ends up at Paul McMullen. The defending left a lot to be desired.
On the ticketing situation, this is a racket. There's no question. This is a racket. In FIFA's bid document for hosting the World Cup, they said that they would set record ticket revenues of $1.8 billion. They're now projecting $3.3 billion because of their ticketing strategy. And it is outrageous, but it's FIFA, and nobody should be surprised.
Yep.
You know, it's they've got 5 million requests for tickets, so they claim. And I think it's too late to protest. I agree with Mikey that the SFA should come out and say something. Solidarity with their fans who are angry. But it's Infantino runs this ship the way Blatter ran this ship. And everyone just sit there and applaud.
It's worse than Blatter. This is absolutely ridiculous, the prices that they're charging.
I definitely read somewhere that the increase tickets from this World Cup to the last World Cup is 300% to 400% of an increase.
We've got representation. Michael Rainey's got a senior position as part of FIFA.
Michael Rainey, with all due respect, is a dot on the landscape. They all are. And unless, they all want to get into bed with FIFA. They don't want to go against Infantino because Infantino is bulletproof. So they see it as no point. Politically, there is no point.
I just feel gutted for the fans. I mean, this experience will wait so long, and so many who go to all these games, pay a lot of money, they're being priced out of this.
Well, I mean, it's getting to I mean, really, forget about getting priced out as well. They're getting squeezed out in terms of the availability.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about, you were saying less than 8% of the stadium capacity will be
8% net capacity. When you take away journalism and journalists,
will be available for punters. That's mental. Now, we all live in a world where obviously we go to grounds and you're working, or if you were desperate and you were wanting to try to go through access and routes to people you know to try. But I mean, if it gets to the stage where the only way you can get a ticket is having to go through connections to, have one gatekeeper, the next gatekeeper, and another gatekeeper to get a ticket, that is the game's done. So the game's done, but you cannot get punters being able to go to a game of football. One, because there's no accessibility in terms of availability of tickets, and then two, once they actually get to that stage, it's like, oh my God, I can't afford that. Well, done.
That is the problem. That is the fear, that the tickets are so expensive that for a number of games, fans of a particular country will not take up their full 8% because they're too expensive.
Yep.
But those tickets will then be sold to neutrals. And then what kind of an atmosphere have you got in the stadium?
Goal, yes.
I think it's Jan Danda up the far end. It's a hit. The keeper Prior dives and pushes it out, and I think it's Danda on the volley back in.
Good finish, eh?
Oh, great finish.
Why is the keeper not holding that?
Well, to be fair, it's
Raining,
it's
isn't it?
soaking.
Very slippy. It's pouring the rain.
Aye, but we'll have a look.
Decent hit, and behind it, it's a decent enough hit. It was going in the bottom corner.
Ethan Hamilton with a strike, and it's Danda that's.
He's got a good punch on it, and it's a hell of a finish.
I don't necessarily think it's terrible for the goal. It's soaking. He pushes it out to the side. It just so happens Danda, certainly from first viewing, is on hand coming in at the angle, and it's a decent finish for Danda.
Here we go. Here's the replay now, Michael.
Yeah, Hamilton with a left foot strike from distance.
Bounces just before.
I don't think it's the world's worst by because he pushes it away to the side with plenty pace. Danda's done well coming in and hitting that first
Great
time.
volley home. Good volley home. Really
Yeah,
good finish.
it is.
Really good finish.
Yep. More problems than pressure for Livy. And experienced David Martindale, Kenny.
Very experienced David Martindale. And actually, was it Stephen Craigan posed that question last week with the Livy fan on? And he said, I don't think I've heard that question asked before, but questioning David Martindale's future as Livingston manager. And I think the Livingston fans said the same thing.
He just assumed that David Martindale was going to be there until David Martindale doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, but my goodness, Alan, that's a very good start for Dundee, isn't it?
Well, they've started very well. Really, really good as a head not there in the box.
Penalty, Raith Rovers.
Oh, wow, this goes from bad to worse.
Stonewall penalty.
Yeah, Rory.
It's crossed in again from the right-hand side, and left-hand side this time, sorry. Paul McMullen picks the ball up. It's very difficult to see who the rocket bodies, who actually catches him, but somebody, I seen the leg come out, he trips over it, no doubt in Matthew McDermott's mind. Penalty kick for Raith Rovers, and it looks like it's going to be Dylan Easton who's going to take it.
It feels like a big moment, Rory, because Rovers going 2-0 up, any side going 2-0 down, it's a real struggle, but I feel we're talking about the mentality of these county players, the comments from the manager last week, the poor run of form, bottom of the table. It'll be an awful long way back if this penalty goes in.
Yeah, it will be, and they've had two attacks. Raith Rovers, they really have, and they've worked the ball out wide and got the ball in, and it's caused all sorts of issues. It really has, and it's going to be a big ask from Tony Docherty's men to try and stay resilient and keep their heads. Ross Docherty in the middle of the pitch has struggled. Here we go, Dylan Easton steps up. Goal! Low to the keeper's left-hand side. Trevor Carson goes the wrong way. 13 minutes on the clock. Raith Rovers 2, Ross County 0.
Yeah, we'll get reaction from a county fan. He'll join us late in the programme. We've got a Motherwell fan, a Dundee fan on as well. Well, the Hearts fan ahead of that kick-off. Don't forget, 2 programmes for you today. We're with you right through until 7 o'clock. We're on the telly today, BBC One Scotland, 4:30 until 5:30. 5:30 till 7 o'clock. We'll be joined by fans of various clubs. We've got more reaction from our pundits, the managers, of course, a bit of music for you tonight. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll hand to David Curry. That big game at the Falkirk Stadium, John McGlynn's side, up against the league leaders' Hearts. 2 sides going very, very well this season. So what a comeback now is required from Tony Docherty's side. Tom's got more in the World Cup ticket, and we'll get that in just 1 minute. Let's check in with Billy Dodds up there at Tannadice Bay. Looks like an early change.
Yeah, there's been a head knock. Stephen Welsh was on the ground along with Elliot Watson. Flickers of hope this game, but there's been so many injuries. Fata picked up an injury just before that, Kenny, so the game practically hasn't got started, and then this has happened. Looks as if Welsh is going to have to go off, and I think it's Liam Gordon.
A lot of blood
there. A bit of claret, yep.
Yeah, a lot of blood. Let's hope he's okay. He's getting attended to there by the docs. Stephen Welsh is just above his right eye there, looks, and getting applause from the Motherwell fans that made the journey up there today in difficult conditions. So it looks like Liam Gordon's coming on there just so actually what we'll do, yeah, just come on. So actually what we'll do, we've got Willie on the phone. Willie, we update from you. Willie's at Arbroath against Partick Thistle. Willie.
Yeah, Kenny, a really difficult afternoon for both sides, and Partick Thistle are shooting with the wind. I don't really know if it's helping them too much. Everything seems to be overhit. As far as the home side's concerned, really difficult for them to get forward at all into the Partick half. Only one occasion they managed that one corner into the box. It was well defended. So it really is a tough afternoon for both sets of players out there. It's actually a tough afternoon for the fans because it's a really tough watch at this moment in time. The players are doing the best they possibly can, but the conditions are absolutely appalling. There is a case I would suggest for games like this to be postponed, but that's not going to happen. The wind is spoiling it completely. No shots on goal, no opportunities, just that one corner, well defended from the home side, 0-0.
Thanks to Will. We'll get regular updates on Will. As you can hear, he's on the phone there. Yes, Alan Preston.
Dundee, and it's Congreve, I think it's at the back post. It's really good wing play by Ugan on one side. He whips it to the back, and there's Congreve coming in, volley, right foot, into the back of the net. Dundee lead Livingston by 2-0.
Wow. I mean,
I'm slightly surprised by this, I must say.
Yeah, I fancied Livy today as well, Tom.
Yeah, that's, again, a nice finish, but again, defending.
Are you two agreeing?
Yeah, you don't have to agree with him, Rory, just because...
Stop sticking in, Rory, come on.
No, sorry, I need to change my
no,
mind
but that's,
now.
no, but Tom, that's the effect you have. You are the BBC Sports Sound Infantino.
I love that, Johnson.
You'd be glad to know that not everybody's in that bed.
That is slander. You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Come for me later.
Everyone's not in bed with Infantino, because I'm definitely not agreeing with that.
The day you get Michael agree with, that's when you know you've made it. Right, some goals I'll just bring you up to date on. So Peterhead 1-0 up against Kelty Hearts. Alloa 0, Queen of the South 1. Curtis Guthrie with that goal for the Wayside. Montrose 1, Stennismuir 0. Graham Webster in 12 minutes. Just other goals going in, just confirmation of that second goal for Wraith Rovers. What a long way back it's going to be for Tony Docherty's side there. Ross County at Starks Park. And another goal, Edinburgh City 0, Clyde 1. Kyle Fleming with that goal on 17 minutes. And Dundee 2-0 up in that big game away at Livingston. So Tom, you just want to come back in on the ticketing.
Just obviously it's a hot topic. FIFA said in their bid document that 7% of the tickets would be Category 4 tickets, with the cheapest tickets. It doesn't look like there's anything like 7% tickets, Category 4 tickets. Scotland's tickets, the Haiti game, are going to be priced between £134 and £373 per ticket. For the Morocco game, it's £164 to £448 per ticket. And for the Brazil game, it's £198 to £523.
How's seriously, right?
And I thought Oasis was expensive.
How is a family meant to make their way over to America, where Scotland's 3 games are, flights, accommodation, spend the money,
they're very well,
and then try and get a ticket? Well, not a ticket, number of tickets. The football. I mean, that is just not. It's just not like. It's no sense. There is no way that's happening. It's not achievable.
The thing, right? So you're going to have a stadium. They'll probably be full or close to full, but there'll be a lot of people there, say Americans, locals, who have no affiliation to Scotland or Haiti or Morocco or Brazil, but are wealthy and can afford the ticket, and they're there
a day out.
A day out.
Yeah.
So where's the passion? Where's the the pride in your own team? At best case scenario, Scotland, well, they're going to have, if all the Scots snap up the tickets, there's less than 4,000 tickets per game available to Scottish fans. Less than 4,000 in stadiums that are like 60,000 plus.
Look, it's obviously it's been the trajectory of football at the top level for such a long period of time, but it's in a large part why I don't have a great interest watching Champions League football when it gets, like for a lot of it.
Chance he's got to score.
When there's just not that connection for Scottish football personally, and it's just the corporatisation of the football at that level is just
FIFA.
It's quite sickening, isn't it?
I should say before the pedants out there get me, I should say fewer than 4,000 tickets, not less than.
No, I know. You're right on that. Let's bring in
Jordan White's just hit the crossbar. Kenny,
hold on.
Ross County's first trip up the pitch, and he should do better. It's a decent enough strike. He probably catches it too well. Cannons off the crossbar. Signs of life from County, but still 2-0 down.
Yeah, they need something. Chick, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, generally without everybody. One of the problems is there are 200,000 Brazilians living in Florida who would want me tickets for that game, Scotland-Brazil game as well. You're competing against that. Nobody can argue with the skullduggery, for want of a better word, of FIFA, who are clearly in the same gang hut as Trump, and the Americans have hijacked this whole World Cup. It's meant to be Mexico and Canada as well. They hardly got a look in. I wish we'd been drawn in Mexico or Canada, might have been a bit easier. The whole American attitude to this just stinks for me. But we're to link this to another problem I've got this week, Kenny. One of the lads, I think Alan was talking about, the SFA are represented on FIFA. The SFA can't manage their own domestic tournament. Why are Auchinleck, Talbot not playing at Auchinleck? You've got a National Cup competition, the romance of the Cup. They should be made to play where the draw is made, and I think it's an absolute scandal that game is going to Rugby Park. When Hearts, remember, have played at Auchinleck in the past,
and
it just takes everything away from the romance of a cup competition. And while we're at it, everything's loaded in the favour of the big clubs with a League Cup competition where I understand that European representatives don't have to play in the group stage, and then they're through, and then they're seeded. The Old Firm, for example, are seeded in the League Cup competition. Why? Everything in this country is poised to help the big clubs get on, and I just think it's an absolute disgrace. It's embarrassing actually to take that game away from Auckland.
Just a couple of things, Chick, on the World Cup. It's FIFA, it's not America, it's FIFA setting these prices. So the ticket prices, same for Mexico, same for Canada. Try and get accommodation in Canada and Mexico. Just have a look. It's eye-watering, it's outrageous. So it's across the board. On the Auckland Talbot, I'd love to have seen that game go ahead. Is it the police?
It is.
Are the police are insisting that it doesn't?
No, I'm not having that. The police
I don't know, but that's the line.
The police advised, they didn't insist. No, it's wrapped up in an excuse to make more money.
Well,
and I think you're either, listen, if you enter a cup competition, then you should be equipped to accommodate whatever you're allowed to.
But they're following police advice in this checking. We'll have to make that
advice,
clear.
Kenny, advice, not instruction.
I would agree with the principle. You want the game to be played at Auchinleck, but if the police are advising you, that is as good as saying...
No.
Well, it is.
Why was it okay for Hearts then? Why was it okay for the Hearts game?
Well, I think there's a different... and there's a different element there. Clearly, Celtic going to Auchinleck is different from Hearts going to Auchinleck in regards to the cultural issues.
I think particularly at the moment with the Celtic fans have got major issues with the Celtic board.
Aberdeen played at Darvel. There was no issues there. The game went ahead as normal.
Exactly.
So, different. I know, but different rules for different games.
It is a different... I mean, if the police are advising you that you should be moving that game, I would find it very, very surprising if they were to go against that. Because, I mean, effectively, the police are saying, you need to go. You need to move it.
Yeah, I think so. It's a shame. It's a terrible shame.
But honestly, the result of Auchinleck.
It wouldn't happen.
Just let me get back to the tickets, Tom.
Yeah.
If you're going to, let's just say, I hope it's far from being the truth. I hope if England go and win it, if you're at every game, if you have the basics, cheapest ticket, for all your tickets to get to the final, it'll cost you $5,000 just for the tickets.
If you get to the final.
If you get to the final, the cheapest final ticket.
You could have easily just framed that as Scotland getting to the final. Surely.
I'd love that, Michael, but I think there's more chance.
If Scotland get to a final, the final as it stands, the final ticket is going to cost between £3,129 and £6,489. That's one ticket for the final.
Is that the cheapest for the final?
That's the range. The range. Yeah, 3,129 is the cheapest as it stands.
It's a working man's game, I tell you. It's a working man's game.
I mean, and
that's ridiculous.
It's very. I mean, the draw in itself was indicative of this. I mean, it was an embarrassment.
Yeah,
it was an utter embarrassment. You know, the whole sort of like.
It's FIFA, though, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Infantino's doing videos as if he's some sort of comedian, and you're just like, this is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. They're making up some peace award to hand out to Trump as well, and you're just going, what are FIFA getting involved with here? You know, it's not the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's like, is this going to be something that continues indefinitely, or is it just uniquely for this? Yeah, the whole thing was just a joke. It's not to agree or disagree with what was being handed out and whether Donald Trump deserves to be, praised or not. But what are FIFA doing getting involved in it?
Well,
it's Infantino.
Of course it is. We all know what it is. It's currying favour. Of
course.
It was embarrassing.
Right, Gary Flossie's been in touch. He said, never mind the price of tickets for the World Cup, the price of our own games here is an issue as well. And best message so far from Andy King. He says, loving the Christmas spirit on today's show.
Humbug.
That is a
Yeah, you're the
belter.
Grinch, Kenny.
Well, I've got a good accomplice alongside me to my left-hand side here. Actually, two of them, I have to say, in the studio today.
It's a tight race.
Yeah, it's a tight race. Dodgy, what's happening at Tannadice?
You know what, I've given it the big build-up, and I don't know whether it's the weather, I don't know whether it's there was more injuries as well after that. The two that I was talking about with Fat and in the head, not with the two Motherwell players, but it's not started yet. I'm hoping they get. Motherwell are still doing their usual, they're playing a lot of good football, but Dundee United look good in the break, but absolutely no chances in the game so far.
Flying start for the way to get. On you go.
I'm just going to take. You come to me a couple of things, but not to talk about the football here at the City Stadium, because there has been none, just like Willie was saying. I mean, the biggest enemy of football is wind, isn't it? But boys, we all like playing in the rain and a very good surface here, as I said, but it's the wind that ruins it, and it's the Dunfermline have had it behind them in this first half, and the balls, it's not always just easy to play with the wind at your back. Sometimes it's easy to play into it, but Dunfermline, the ball has been overhit, there's been no great play, players are just battling to make sure the first touch is okay, the ball's been in the air all the first half. It's just been a dreadful football match so far, and it won't be a surprise if I tell you it's Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 0.
Yeah, it's the point that Willie was making, actually. I think, Willie, you were saying Partick Thistle have got the wind at their back, and you're not sure it's helping them up there at Gatfield. You there, Willie?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Kenny?
Got you now, Willie, yeah.
Yeah, although they're putting on massive pressure here, and they've had, 3-4 opportunities. Tony Watt right through, just a long ball over the top, lasted over the bar. Luke Macbeth took on the wind as an advantage, 40 yards out, took a deflection and just whizzed by the post. Then Daniel O'Reilly should have, I thought, found the back of the net. A little clip from the left to the back post, right-hand side, and he drove it across the face. And then Samuel had a shot from 18 yards that he just whizzed by the post. So Partick Thistle right on top at this moment in time, actually taking advantage of that wind, but it is spoiling the game as a spectacle. There's not much slick football being played, that for sure, but Partick creating the opportunities, and Arbroath really struggling to get over their own halfway line.
Thanks to Willie. Also, Ian McCall, difficult conditions down there at Capello.
Yeah, it's horrendous, Kenny, but I've got to say, to be fair to the players, after the first 5-10 minutes when basically the goalies were kicking it to each other, it's got a lot better. Airdrie were really, really slick for the first 10-15 minutes. Henderson, all they had to show was a Henderson strike just past the post, but as you come to me, Michael Garrity probably should have given Morton the lead. There was a great cut back from Owen Moffat. He's only 6-8 yards out. It's a decent save, but I think he's got to score. In reference to Chick Young's point about Auchinleck would have been desperate to keep the game in Auchinleck. I would know that. They'd be desperate to keep it there. It must have come from the police.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. There was strong police advice that the game has to be moved.
So why?
Well,
why did...
Because
are we at a state of affairs in this country that we cannot have a cup draw and people play where they play? Why have we got to move it? Well, I mean, someone's in the wrong here. Who's in the wrong?
They wouldn't do it lightly, Chick, would they? And I say at the moment, right now, you would accept.
Who's in the wrong?
Okay, at the moment you would accept. With the Celtic fans have got major issues with the people running their club, so that might present more of a risk, say, than when Hearts were going there. It's just different times.
So they can't behave themselves in.
Well, I'm not saying that, but
Well, why is the game not getting played?
It is, as Mikey says, though, Chick. If the police are saying we're advising you,
so what's the
what
problem?
are you going to do? You're going to go against police advice? That's a dangerous road to go down.
Well, why are they advising that? Someone's to blame here.
I don't think it's a blame thing. It's obviously they can't take the infrastructure of Auchinleck Talbot can't take safely the amount of fans that Celtic would come down. I mean, it's a moot point. I mean, you're not just talking about whatever the attendance is at Beechwood Park. You're talking about how many other Celtic fans would come down. I think it's absolutely the right decision. If you want to talk about a community club, Auchinleck Talbot, as Billy Dodds will tell you, I think about Billy's from Cumnock. And Cumnock. Sorry, my friend. They are community clubs. But to find out the rules and the wherewithal about why the police said it, I mean, I don't think that's for this show. They obviously don't think it's safe. It's pretty simple.
Right, Dumbarton 2, East Kilbride 0. Mark Durnan with a goal on 26 minutes. A bit of a shock on the cards there. Elsewhere, Annan Athletic 0, Forth Athletic 1. Martin Rennie on 31 minutes. So Tom wants to come in. Just this gets a couple more updates. Rory Loy up there at Starks Park, a flying start for the home side, but signs of life from County, Rory?
Yeah, well, they hit the crossbar. Ronan Hales caused a couple of issues backing in, trying to hold the ball up. Jordan White's not had much change at all out of the two centre-backs, Hadarek and Hanlon. Ryan Duncan, who's playing left-back, who's a good player. I've seen him a few times up at Aberdeen, and I think he's a good player, but he shelled one right out the pitch. And Tony Dockett stood right next to him because he's right next to him on his side, and he gave it the old, don't worry about it, we'll get the next one. He then got the ball and passed it straight out the pitch. Tony Dockett wasn't as forgiving the second time. So signs of life from County without, really threatening the goal other than that one opportunity. Wraith Rovers, other than their two goals, actually haven't created all that much. So 2-0 Wraith Rovers, and I think it's Ross County. It's just the way their season's going so far that they've conceded 2 and not managed to score
also,
any.
Yeah. Oh, someone's going in there.
No.
Sorry. I just going to say, Alan, just seeing the game, horrendous conditions through there. Livingston against Dundee 2-0 up right now. Anything at all from Davy Martindale's side? We've got the pictures coming in here, Alan. He looks very frustrated in the touchline there. He's getting very angry.
He is. Dre Wright slipped and Bakila had an effort, but he dilly-dallied. Eventually got the shot, was blocked in. Decent move from Livingston. Macaulay Tater's a shot over the top of the crossbar. But Dundee, it looks comfortable for them just now. Livingston trying to play, to be fair to them, but it's not suiting the conditions at all. They're trying to get the ball down. They're taking chances at the back, as we can see. And at the moment, Dundee are dropping back into their shape and very, very difficult to beat. It's comfortable just now. 2-0.
Just back on the World Cup side of things, on the pitch this time, Scotland will play, as we know, 2 warm-up games in March. It looks very likely now that one of those will be against Japan.
Right.
With more information to come next week.
Excellent. Lots to look forward to.
It's good, isn't it? I mean, it's good. So they could play one from each confederation, or trying to look for different confederations to pick from. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, what a save!
Yeah, Alan.
It's a great play by Livingston. It's Stevie May with the shot. A brilliant save from McCracken, diving to his left-hand side. I think it came through bodies, the looks of it. Good save.
It's a good save, a really strong hand from McCracken. He's getting congratulated by his teammates. So a corner for the home side. I just watched it again, Tom. It was a decent effort.
It was a decent effort, yeah, low. I mean, it was close to him, but it was a good save.
I
was just going to say, on that...
Tom, the first chance of the game here, I was just going to say,
yeah,
for Queen's Park, Grant Savery bringing out a save, although it was kind of straight at Billy Tyrrell. Actually, the winding range calmed a bit, and there's been a wee bit of an outbreak of football. Actually, earlier on, it was so bad. It wasn't a referee we needed, it was the Coast Guard. But it's picked up. Here's a chance for the Pars. Ball whipped across. Suddenly, there's an outbreak of football, Kenny. This could get quite interesting after all, but it is still 0-0 at Queen's Park and Dunfermline.
See the thing, and we're obviously talking about the ticket prices and the creep. This happens over a long period of time, and it's coming to a head now. And I do genuinely think there needs to be a fair bit of lobbying and consensus from associations to push back on this, because the punters, you can't squeeze the punters out anymore, and I think it's gone too far. But equally, I was just going to say, see, when you look at that draw, it became so farcical in regards to all the
oh dear,
all
in the background,
all the conditions that were in place as to they can't go into that group, and he's going to this group, and it almost becomes a situation where the options of who can play who are so small now because the conditions that are in place that it almost becomes like a preconditioned algorithm.
Too many clubs, too many countries.
Well, not so much too many countries. You seed the teams, but then have a free draw. Right. I think, not to say you go back to just a complete free draw, but there was too many conditions in it. It became ludicrous.
Is it not quite good we're not playing European countries? I think that's quite good.
That's novel.
Yeah, but there's 2 European teams were allowed in each group. Yeah, no more than 2. Right, I get that. But if it ends up being that you played 3, then so be it. I just think it's because if we continue down that route, then you're going to get to the stage where it literally, like Chick's saying about, the seeding in the League Cup, and you get all the bigger teams having an easier passage through and things like that. We're going to get to that stage.
You didn't like the draw, but you're not telling me you didn't like the village people.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Mikey.
Wonderful.
Kenny, the one thing I'll say about that as Michael Garrity goes through 1-on-1 with the goalie, he's been held up. Alan Preston, I agree that when he says football's for the working man, I'm sorry, it just isn't now.
It isn't anymore.
It stopped 2 decades ago. You know, particularly when the English Premier League started, that was the first sign of it starting, and it isn't, unfortunately.
And it isn't a beautiful game either.
No, and listen, one of the things that I'm positive about is most of the younger types, my son's pals, a lot of them, they just want to get to America. You know, they want to go to the fan zones. They're not really that bothered about tickets. So I don't think it's going to discourage a certain age group of Scottish supporters. Maybe the older ones would want tickets. I'm sure they would, but it's certainly not the game for the working man, unfortunately.
I bet you, when Ireland qualified for our first World Cup in 1990, a great Irish journalist called Con Houlihan went over there.
Oh, what a finish that is! It's 3-0 to
Good
Ray
timing, Rory.
Rovers. I'll tell you, it's the right back again. He scored a hat-trick during the week in the Challenge Cup. The ball is dropped, he's thighed it, and from about 30 yards out, he's absolutely lasered it into the bottom corner past Trevor Carson. A goal out of nowhere. It's Wraith Rovers 3 after 36 minutes. Ross County 0.
This sounds like, I don't know.
I'm a bit worried for the guys up there now, I've got to say.
You've got someone else. Go.
It's a goal for Queen's Park. I thought the game was settling down. Queen's Park had the first chance of the ball. Whipped across the right hand side, eventually nodded in. There was two players at the far post. Confirmed that score in a second, Kenny, but it's definitely the amateurs, the former amateurs, as you say, the Spiders, who have gone ahead against Dunfermline at the City Stadium. It's Queen's Park 1, Dunfermline 0.
Yeah, big goal there. I mean, Ian, you were just coming in there. Do you think there's a situation where Tony Docherty regrets taking that job? Do you think perhaps he didn't quite know what he's letting himself in for? Or is the other side of that, he should be doing a whole lot better? Where are you on that?
Well, I think that's 50-50. I think you can argue both those points. And Wraith Rovers as Starts Park is not an easy game, but you know, this could get ugly today, and you know, that type of result, you know, I don't know where it leaves them. I mean, if they score another couple of goals, I mean, listen, Ross County could come back and, you know, could beat 3-2 or get a 3-0 draw. We saw that last night at Somerset Park. But, you know, the danger signs are there. And somebody said earlier, it might have been Alan or it might have been Michael, that I think Tony had reached a stage where he'd been defending, and I think at times you've got to say, well, you know what, if this isn't working, I'm just going to go for this. And he's tried to, and you know, I think that third goal, the way it was Rory Lloyd described it as well, I think that's another factor. I mean, a right back that scored the hat-trick during the week has battered one in from 30 yards. I think that's indicative of things as well. So there's big problems there. I'm sure Tony Docherty needs to do it. One of my worries as well is Tony Docherty, Callum Davidson, John Robertson. If I'm a player and there's those three guys, Callum has done incredibly well at St Johnstone, wee Robbo's done well as a manager at various places, Tony Doc's done it. I'm thinking, who's in charge here? Who's the main guy? I just
more than one manager doesn't work. Is that what you're saying?
There's things that just don't add up. That's all, you know. And you know what? At 3-0 at Starts Park, this is the danger signs now.
Absolutely. It looks desperately grim for Tony Dock. On the World Cup, there's kind of two World Cups going on. There's a World Cup going on in America, Mexico and Canada. There's also a World Cup going on at home. And I think the atmosphere in Scotland is going to be electric. That was the point I was making.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Do you know what I mean? It's here. Actually, the best of it could be here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole country is taken over.
2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but
late licenses,
the rest of the pubs will probably be open. That looks like it's going to go.
So that's what you're coming on, Alan. You're a bit low, your line there, but that's what you're saying, Alan.
Yeah, I'm saying that I think most councils in Scotland now should be looking and saying, right, we're going to let you go out and enjoy yourselves, and licences will be granted for you. I know that it's on in the Edinburgh Festival's on, the licences are longer and all that, and you'd hope that the whole of Scotland does this.
Surely they will, Alan. Surely
you
they
would
will.
think so.
Yeah, I think that could be. I mean, the atmosphere in Scotland could be electric. Will be electric. You know, the country's going to be taken over by this.
The thing is, obviously, the World Cup is not on when the festival's on, but you would like to think that they just continue what they do in Edinburgh. We're having the late licence for the pubs.
Mikey, I thought we'd talked about it the other week there. Maybe you weren't on, but your points you were making about the show before the World Cup, the draw, spot on. The most embarrassing thing I've ever seen involving it was supposed to involve football, particularly when Trump got his medal. I mean, that was just cringy, man.
Yeah.
Right, Elgin City 0, Stranraer 1, Dominic Plank with that goal on 41 minutes. Let's get back to Billy Dodds up there at Tannadice. It's not been a classic, Billy, has it?
You have to. I mean, this is as brutal as it gets, lads. I'm not joking. There was the only thing was, and it was direct play from Dundee United. Richard kicked a 70-yard straight ball. Waters took a good touch and squeezed it past the goalkeeper under pressure and gone, but went wide to the post. In the first 10 minutes, it was a Callum Hendry header straight into ground, right into the goalie's hands, but not with any pace. I don't know whether it's because it's the weather. I don't know whether it's the referee is blowing for every foul as well, and injuries. It's not been a thing of beauty at all. I have jinxed it well and truly.
To be fair, conditions right across the country tough today, aren't they?
Yeah,
Kenny, just to say
it's
sorry.
Kenny, but it's not too bad here. So go on, check, no problem, son.
Well, just to clarify the scorer of the game here, it was Henry Fieldson with his first goal of the season for Queen's Park. Carry on.
Yeah, no, okay, it's obviously a slight delay in Chick's line, and that's why we're talking over each other a wee bit. Inverness Calvissel 2, Hamilton Accies 0, Chanka Zimba with that goal on 41 minutes. Alan Preston is watching Livingston against Dundee, the away side firmly in control, Al.
Yeah, comfortable, looking comfortable in possession as well. McCracken takes a couple of chances when the ball goes back to him with his feet, the goalkeeper of Dundee, but apart from that, there's not really that many chances that Livingston have created trying to get into this game. I've got to say that Congreve and Yogan again down the wider areas have caused a bit of concern, winning free kicks. Obviously Congreve scoring the second goal from a Yogan cross. It's been comfortable for Stephen Presley's men, and you heard them saying they have been playing reasonably well. They have played well today and they deserve to be 2-0 up.
Yeah, a Dundee fan joining us. I said earlier, I like the way he spoke. I think he's been brutally honest after games, talking about the size of the job there, Alan. I think one player that has impressed is Congreve. He's been decent.
He's been excellent, really, really good. He takes people on, left-footed, cuts in. Good finishes we've seen today for the second goal. He's been a real threat for them and a real plus, because there's not been many pluses for Dundee. We were talking about it at the start of the programme, they get the big result as they did against Celtic and then they fade away, but this one today would be a massive result for them.
Here's one to contemplate for the rest of the show. Is there one bolter for Steve Clarke's World Cup squad? Guy who hasn't really been involved up to now.
Mulligan.
Well, Mulligan.
Yeah?
Yeah. 100%.
There you go.
I'd have him in the squad.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen it, but someone's saying that Ollie Buck scored another.
I saw it. It's a terrific goal. Absolutely terrific. Top corner.
Too much to do. Too far out of the frame.
Too much to drink.
I think it depends on how many injuries you're going to get. We've seen last time it was Lyndon Dykes that unfortunately
40.
missed out.
I'm just thinking the pace, that's all. We speak about a lack of pace on the side. He does give you that.
I'd still want Harvey Barnes.
But Steve Clarke's not going to approach him, is he?
Apart from Josh Mulligan, anybody else that you think might have a squeak?
Probably not, Tom, just because the way Stevie Clarke is he's loyal, isn't he, to who's got him there.
Harvey Barnes and Josh Mulligan would be the two that obviously not been involved with.
So he was spoken to before. He didn't say no. He left the door open. Harvey Barnes obviously did an interview recently with Sky Sports.
He didn't say yeah.
No, he didn't say no.
He left the door open.
Would you,
wishy-washy.
Would you like to see Steve Clarke? I know he's not the type. Would you like to see Steve Clarke say, do you know what? For the good of this side, for the good of the country, I'm going to make the move here. I'll give him a time scale and let's put an end to this one way or t'other. Is that what he should be doing?
I wouldn't necessarily expect Steve Clarke to do it, but I would like to think that somebody in the SFA, maybe Stephen Naismith, someone like that, rings him up and say, yes or no, you've got 24 hours.
Dodgy, have you got along with that?
Yeah, he's got, I mean, I think he'd be a really good addition, I must admit, and I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I mean, since we were talking about it a few weeks back, I mean, he's running form as well, and you can see what he can bring to the team, and we can't cut our nose off to spite our face either, so we've got to, realistically, if he's available, push for him, but you can't hang on forever either.
Does anyone think we shouldn't be approaching him?
Kenny, these things need to be done in a fashion where we don't need to know about it. So when Tom says he's got 24 hours, it doesn't need to be like that, because these are things that you're talking about in a public domain. Somebody...
Maybe it's been done already, Michael.
Exactly. Somebody should be able to speak to him. It doesn't need to be like, oh, you've got 24 hours. Because ultimately, you know...
How long does it go on, though, Michael? That's the point.
Exactly. If he says, I'll get back to you whenever...
Right.
That's not the kind of attitude you want.
When they talk about coming back to you, well, OK, then we don't ever hear about it and nothing ever comes of it, right?
I know,
but the point
fans
is,
want to know.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you... So there's two things that are going on here. There is the reality of doing the deal. and getting them involved, which needs to be done privately,
Half-time
and it needs to be done
3-0 Raith Rovers.
with people reaching out and making that first contact. Doesn't even be the manager, could be one of the coaching staff, could be one of the officials or whatever. You don't have to put a time frame on it in those private conversations, but equally you'd be saying, look, we need to get some clarity here. And
someone
then
from the
once
SFA, Michael,
half-time.
speak to Ross Wilson. Ross Wilson's taking over at Newcastle.
And once it comes to a situation where you're getting that bit of clarity, then you can start to brief people and say, it looks like something might be happening. One way or the other.
I'd want him to be enthusiastic. From
Absolutely,
the
Tom. Absolutely, that's the bit I was getting to. He's got to realise the future. It doesn't look as if he's going to play for England.
We all want him to be enthusiastic from the get-go. But it may only be the case
Tom,
that he's enthusiastic for the get-go. So then we cut our nose off.
I can't believe that Tom, who's from Ireland, is having to go at people who know not behind Scotland, who with Ireland would select anyone who did a pint of Guinness a few years back. You know, got success out the back of that. So I don't think we can have a wee dig at the lad because he wasn't actually born in Scotland.
Well, at least at least some of those guys were.
Is this catching?
Half time at Livingston, and here's the booze right me 2-0 to the Wayside.
People not listening to you, Tom. That's shocking.
I mean, I get that at home, Ian. You know what I mean?
No, you get it in other places as well, my friend.
Well, at least some of those guys were enthusiastic about playing for Ireland, even though they didn't have a connection.
They didn't have a connection, but
Quite
they were
incredible.
Half-time at Capello, Kenny, it's 0-0.
It is quite incredible that Cascarino managed to have an international career without a connection.
Well, that's debatable.
Well, yes.
But your point is that you don't care what the connection. You just want a decision. You shouldn't be left. This shouldn't be open-ended. That's your point. Is that right?
Yeah, look, you're getting to the stage now where World Cup is 6 months away, whatever. And Harvey Burns has a lot of time to think about this already. So if he can't give you a pretty quick answer now, I just don't think he's up for this.
Do you think he's waiting to see if he's in the England squad? Do you think that's because he's in a good run of form?
But he doesn't look like he's anywhere near the England squad.
No.
I don't know.
I would agree. I don't disagree with your point.
Yeah,
in terms of,
I know.
It's not open-ended as in, like, up until the week before the World Cup. But it's like, where
Thank
is
the
that?
Lord, half-time at Tannadice, 0-0.
He has to be, well, by March is the absolute deadline, because if he's not in that squad,
You want to get him
forget
involved.
about it.
You want to get him involved in the March friendlies, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get a message in this. I'll read some out during the second half of Open All Night. Just one late goal in the first half. Edinburgh City 1, Clyde 1. Greg Allen with the equaliser for the home side in first half stoppage time. So all the reports to come from around the grounds on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
Scottish football lives here.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
Go! From BBC Radio Scotland.
I'm Billy Differ, and I'll be sharing the biggest musical moments from stage and screen, guaranteed to put a spring in your step. From timeless classics like Les Miserables and Bedknobs and Broomsticks, right up to the latest hits from Hamilton and the sensationally popular Wicked. Plus very special guests Alan Cumming, Elaine C. Smith and more drop in to tell me their favourite musical moments.
A night at the musicals. Best of stage and screen. Christmas Day at 2 p.m. on BBC Radio Scotland and Sounds.
You're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. Let's get a wee bounce around the grounds and get the half-time reports from the guys who've been out and about in really difficult conditions today. Sorry to do this to you, Billy Dodds, but see if you can muster a minute on Dundee United against Motherwell.
There is no chance. I gave it the big build-up. I take full responsibility. This has been brutal. Now we can look at the weather, we can look at injuries, we can look at the ref blowing for fouls, but players have to do more. There was only one thing note, and it was a 70-yard pass from the goalkeeper Richards for Dundee United. Kicked it, Waters took a touch. It was a great touch at that, and nearly squeezed it round the goalkeeper under pressure from Liam Gordon. There has been a couple of other efforts. Henry with a soft header, Satford just before half time with a shot straight at Ward, and then Maswanisi doing the exact same up the other end of the pitch. Half time at Tannadice. I need to go and try and lie down a wee bit. It is 0-0.
Yeah, thank you to Billy Dodds. We'll have a Motherwell fan on later in the programme. Thankfully, a bit more to talk about at the game at Ammanvale. Livingston against Dundee. Let's hear from Alan Preston.
It's Livingston's 0, Dundee 2 at half-time. Kenny's been quite comfortable for the away side. He took the lead in 13 minutes. Hamilton with a shot, 3-yard dive into his left-hand side, pushes it out, and then it was Danda with the volley home. Fine finish. from Jan Danda. 5 minutes later it was 2-0. Yogan on the left hand side, cross to the back post. There was the other winger, Congreve, coming in at the back to volley home. Livingston have had chances. Bakilo had a chance after Drayright slips. Macaulay tatered a shot which was over the bar, and Stevie May had the best chance, which produced a brilliant save from McCracken in the goals. They will have the advantage of the wind and rain in the second half, Livingston, but they're losing at half-time by 2-0.
Thanks, Alan. 4 games covered in the Championship and Open All Mics today. Very difficult conditions up there at Gayfield. It's certainly affecting our technical side of things. Our Broth against Partick Thistle. Let's hear from Willie Miller.
Yeah, Kenny, 0-0 at half-time. It sounds depressing, but I'm not as depressed as Dodgy, I must say, because after about 20 minutes, Partick Thistle seemed to get a hang of what was required, and they created a number of opportunities without taking any of them. Tony Watt, normally much more camera in front of goal. The ball bounces maybe 18 yards out, he blasts it way over the bar. Luke Macbeth had a 40-yarder, trying to use that win because Partick had the win with them in the first half. It took a deflection, went by the post, and then Daniel O'Reilly should have done better. He's at the back post, he drives it across the face, it just whizzes by the left-hand post, and then Alex Samuel had a shot, a really good save from Aidan McAdams in goal to save the day from them. But in the last 5 minutes, Arbroath actually had a couple of opportunities, both of them falling to Gavin Riley. One, a shot that went by the far post, the other one brought out a very good save from Josh Clark. So, not as depressed as Dodgy here, even although I wouldn't say it's been a performance that I'll remember, but one that has given the fans something to shout about. Unfortunately for them, though, no goals at half-time.
Thanks to Willie Miller. Next up, the south side of Glasgow, Queen's Park against Infernal. Let's hear from Chick Young.
Yeah, maybe you should get Judith Ralston to do this match report, such as the quality of the game in the first half. It's blustery winds and pouring rain, 1 football 0. Despite that, Queen's Park have managed to get themselves ahead at the City Stadium. It was the first goal of the season for Henry Fieldson after 39 minutes. The football had been dreadful. There was a little calm in the weather, and incidentally the football started to get better in the wake of that. The great surface here at this little ground, but the players managed to get some football played, and actually that was probably the first clear-cut chance of the game. Fieldson, ball played in from the right hand side, and it was a header at the near post, low down, and he got it beyond the Dunfermline goalkeeper Billy Tyrrell. Neil Lennon is not here to watch his team trail this afternoon. Sadly, he's at home in Northern Ireland after the death of his father, and I think his assistant Ian Brunskill will have to perk up that team in the second half. Queen's Park desperate to hold on to the lead. They will be shooting with the wind in the second half down the park, but it's not always easier, as Willie was saying, to do exactly that and play with that at your back. In any case, Kenny, I hope that brighter spells will be breaking out shortly. It's 1-0 at half-time to the Spiders.
Let's hope so. Thanks to Chick Young. Next up, Capello Morton at home to Airdrie. The half-time report comes from Ian McCall.
Well, no doom and gloom here. I mean, the first 10 minutes of the game was poor, but after that it's been a terrific game, and a lot of good football as well, not just long-range efforts, etc, etc. I mean, Airdrie for the first 15 minutes looked really slick, ball in the deck, but the best chance of the half came in the 18th minute when Moffat cut it back for Michael Garrity to slam it right at the goalie. The other end, Gallagher had a good strike for Airdrie from about 12 yards just past the post. And just before half-time, Tommy Adaloy had a terrific header, one of them that just grazed the left-hand post, again from a Michael Garrity cross, who has been absolutely excellent. He's playing against Cole McKinnon, who's not really a fullback, but Michael Garrity of Morton has done some sparkling wing play. A decent game so far, just needs a goal. It's 0-0 at Capello.
Thank you to Ian McCall. Next stop, Starks Park. What a story is developing there. Wraith Rovers against Ross County. The half-time report from Rory Loy.
Yes, indeed. Last week, Wraith Rovers disappointed offensively. However, they have been absolutely sensational going forward this week. 3-0 at half-time. First coming on 8 minutes. Deep cross from Paul McMullen from the right-hand side. It was headed back across goal. Scott Brown was the first to come in and nod it into the net. The 14th minute, McMullen involved again. He was tripped in the penalty box. Difficult to see who the culprit was given the amount of bodies in there. However, the penalty was quite rightly given, and Dylan Easton stepped up and tucked it away low to the left-hand side of Trevor Carson. Jordan White, not long after, did smash the crossbar for Ross County before Dylan Easton had a shot saved by the feet of Trevor Carson. However, Gyro with the strike of the match so far on 37 minutes. Half volley, right foot, corner of the goals, right across Trevor Carson into the far side netting. Lovely finish, absolutely lasered into the bottom corner. That means at half-time it is Race Rovers 3, Ross County 0.
Thanks to Rory. I'll go through all the scores for you, but just looking at the live championship table right now, Queen's Park 8th, 16 points. Airdrie 9th, 15 points. Ross County 10th on 12 points. The worst goal difference in the league as well, minus 13 after 17 games played. They're 3-0 down at half-time at Starks Park. So the half-time scores across the country: Dundee United 0, Motherwell 0, Livingston 0, Dundee 2. 8 o'clock kickoff. Full commentary to come on Sports and right here on BBC Radio Scotland. Falkirk at home to Hearts. Two really good sides. Should be a brilliant game up there at the Falkirk Stadium. In the Championship are Broth 0, Partick Thistle 0, Morton 0, Airdrie 0, Queen's Park 1, Dunfermline Athletic 0, Wraith Rovers 3, Ross County 0. Into Scottish League 1, the half-time scores: Alloa 0, Queen of the South 1, Cove Rangers 0, East Fife 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Hamilton Accies 0, Montrose 2, Stenhousemuir 0, and Peterhead 1, Kelty Hearts 0. Into League 2 for you this afternoon, full card: Annan Athletic 0, Falkirk Athletic 1, Dumbarton 2, the leaders East Kilbride 0, Edinburgh City 1, Clyde 1, Elgin City 0, Stranraer 1, and Stirling Albion 0, Spartans 0. Down in England, 2 games kicking off at 3 o'clock. Chelsea 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 1, Brighton 0. That goal coming very early on from Ekitike. 5:30 start, Burnley at home to Fulham. 8 o'clock, Arsenal are at home to Wolves.
Scottish football lives here.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
Go! From BBC Radio Scotland.
Welcome back to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. Lots of talking points. 2 games in the top flight this afternoon. We had a big chat about that game at Almondvale. Livingston against Dundee. So much at stake. Dundee very, very impressive in that first half. Tom, I have to say, I was just watching that Jan Danda finish for the first goal. I was perhaps critical of the goalkeeper. I felt like maybe could have held it, but he did beat out strongly. Yeah. But really good technique from Danda. We know he's got the ability.
Yeah, and that ball is coming to him quickly. I think, and the goalie, when he pushes it out, I don't think the goalie's expecting it to end up in the back of his net. Outstanding finish, quick reactions, accuracy. It's so easy to just get that wrong, isn't it? And just balloon it over the bar or smash it wide.
Do you think there are conversations, and we touched on this last week when Stephen Cragen asked the question, we had the Livingston fan on, over Davy Martindale? It's something, as I said, we've never really discussed. Even when they get relegated, and they did a great job, of course, getting them back up, but it's not really been a talking point in this programme.
No, but he's had a lot. Listen, he's had some grim periods at Livingston, but he's also had some very good times at Livingston. And you gotta wonder. If I was there, I'd be backing him to get them out of this, because he's done it before. Could I come up with a name that would be better for that job than Davy Martindale? I think I'd struggle right now off the top of my head.
That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with it. I mean, it's all about expectation. You know, they've done extremely well. If you look at the last sort of 15 years or so, and the number of years they've been in the top flight.
I tell you what I did to it last week, Michael, was a change of ownership. Is that, you know?
Well, of course, yeah. But yes, there's a change of ownership, but I'd still be very surprised if Davy Martindale wasn't, in with the bricks and involved in most aspects of the club. But we spoke about it before this game in regards to, when you posed that very loaded question, it now does definitely add a greater degree of scrutiny at Almondvale rather than at Dens Park.
And do you know what? And I know all clubs will say they've been affected, and rightly so, but I go back to that non-award of the penalty at Ibrox, because I just think the significance of that day.
Sorry, he had a phone call, explained it.
Yeah, he had a phone call and explained it, and he was furious. I mean, of course, you brought the story last week, Dave Cormack's comments, Tom, and we put it to the 3 managers. We put it to Stephen Robinson, Jim Goodwin, and Davy Martindale. He was very, very strong. Davy said, I'd scrap it now. But I just go back to that day, and I think if they could have got, and we know that Rangers have been poor this season, If they could have gone there that day and got a victory, I just wonder how that affects the coming weeks.
Of course.
You know, that's the thing.
Of course, because that would be a big result for them. And confidence, everyone goes into training on Monday, you're feeling really good about themselves instead of going in feeling aggrieved, feeling hard done by, feeling robbed. Really.
Yes.
You know, it's the mood music after something like that is it's on one decision, and it was a really poor decision.
Was anything ever mentioned about in regards to it was John Beaton that had phoned David Martindale, and is that normal practice rather than
as opposed
Willie
to Willie Collins? Well, I would imagine, Billy, you can maybe tell us a bit more about this. I'd imagine in the past, would it quite often been the match referee, Billy, when you were a manager, that would phone you? You there, Billy?
Yeah, not at all, Kenny. It would always be head the referees that would give you the call. The actual match one wouldn't, no.
So I just thought that, and by the way, obviously, he wasn't even the official, he was the VAR official. And nothing was ever spoken about in regards to what actually changed in the days after the game that John Beaton then realised that he'd made a mistake. He's sitting in a room, he's had all the angles and the replays to look at. Those have not changed. So how could he look at those videos, replays, arrive at that decision, but then 4 days later say, well, I got it wrong? That needs to be looked at. Not the question of, oh, well, it's fine, he's phoned up David Martindale, let's all just move on. Because everybody just, like, oh...
How did you miss it in the first place?
Yes. How did you miss that in the first place? And, like, this whole thing, and I understand, managers don't want to continually get bogged down. They need to move on. They need to look at the next game. But the people in power, the officials, the head of referees, they benefit from people just moving on.
I want to bring out another point here. Alan Preston.
Dundee have just hit the bar. Yogan it is to the byline. It's a cross. It's nothing more than a cross, but the wind clips the top of the bar and comes away. Good start to the second half from Dundee. But just as you're talking about Livingston, Kenny, they've signed a pre-contract agreement with Emmanuel Danzo, a Ghanaian international, 25-year-old midfielder. So Davies clearly starting to look already at the January window, so he'll be coming in.
I worked with him a couple of weeks ago, Al, when he was talking about the analytic programme he has there, and he was telling me all about it. So he's got plenty of signings. He's going to need them, obviously, but he's got plenty of signings down the line.
Just going back to the VAR thing, I was thinking of this during the week after the debate we had last weekend when Tom brought us that story from Dave Cormack, and I was thinking, you know, when we go back and decisions were made, and they're clearly wrong decisions pre-VAR, but it was so much easier to go over because it was in a flash, and it took us several looks, you know, so you can accept that.
Yep.
And I think that is a problem. And VAR's brought a lot of positive things. There's been a lot of decisions that would have been missed if VAR hadn't been there. But it's a fact now that there are decisions where there have been several people looking at it for many, many minutes, and they come up with the wrong decision. That's the concern.
Too many obvious ones missed. Yes, they've cleared up some other ones, and fair play. As they should do, because it's costing a lot of money. So they should be clearing up those ones. But there's too many howlers, too many ones that look pretty clear and obvious, and they're getting them wrong. Getting them wrong on the pitch, getting them wrong in the VAR, and it's just nowhere near.
Here's an interesting thing. You know, you hear Dave Cormack talking about it, you hear a number of managers talking about it, but my concern is that this is now an industry. People make money from it. And unfortunately, when there are interested parties like that, they will be lobbying like you would not believe to make sure that there isn't a reduction in the influence of VAR or a scrapping of it.
Big chance, must be 4-0 Raith Rovers.
Oh my
God, incredible.
Oh my goodness me, ripped apart defensively. The ball goes down the right-hand side. Paul McMullen is unbelievable down that right-hand side today. He sees Dylan Easton, he squares it to him, and anybody else on the pitch might have panicked. Not Dylan Easton, rolls it into the corner. 4-0 to Raith Rovers. Tony Docherty still has the starting 11 on the pitch. Interesting to see whether he goes to the bench now.
Ian McCall, I know you feel we speak too often about managers' positions in this programme, but you touched on it earlier on, and we know you're close to Tony Docherty. You've worked with him, and you were saying you would have concerns if the scoreline got ugly today, and I think at 4-0 it's starting to get very ugly.
Yeah, listen, I take no pleasure in saying that. Yeah, and you know, listen, you're just into the second half, so we can guarantee Ross County aren't going to come back, and it could get worse. So, I mean, these sort of things, you wouldn't say it was a knee-jerk reaction if it happened because the results haven't been good enough, and this may be unfortunately, maybe the thing that tips it over. Ross County with the wages, and it's not. It doesn't all come down to
16
wages.
goals they've conceded in 4
I
and a
know
half games.
they can't get beat 4, 5, 6 away from home when their budget is dwarfs most of the other teams in the league. That just can't happen.
It's strange though,
it's
Ian,
a
because
total mismanagement. No, I'm not talking about mismanagement by Tony.
Hold on, just one second, guy. No, just we've got problems in line with Willie. So Willie, just jump in. You've got a goal there at Gayfield.
Yeah, I have, and it goes to the home side. Finlay Marshall it was. Again, good play, good positive play at the start of the second half from Arbroath, and the ball falls to him. He's just maybe about 18 yards out, right foot, and he drills it into the far corner. It's well worked. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward football from Arbroath. Maybe partly over elaborated when they had control in the first half, but in the second half, it's Arbroath that take the lead 1-0.
Thanks to Willie. Just a couple of goals, then we'll go back to Ian and Rory. I know Tom and Michael want to jump in as well in terms of the Ross County debate. Just a reminder, we've got the fans on tonight. We've got a County fan lined up. He goes to a lot of games. Peterhead 2, Kelty Hearts 0, Seb Ross 47 minutes, Stirling Albion 0, Spartans 1, Bradley White on 50 minutes. Right, Ian, you want to jump in back in on this, and then Rory.
Yeah, I mean, when I say mismanagement, I'm talking from people above Don Cowie or Tony Docherty. It just seems there's something went wrong, you know. And I mean, I'm in a privileged position where I know one or two of the players and I know what money they're on. I think Alan Press will obviously know that as well. And it's for that level of football, it is incredible. And
really,
oh God,
I just wanted to ask you about Ross Docherty, Ian, because he's a player who I think he's a very, very good player, and you'll know him well. And for me, he fits that profile as you mentioned earlier. That despite the level he's playing at, I always see him at Dundee United. If he wasn't playing, he was always out running, doing his bit. But he just looks completely devoid of confidence. It's the worst I've ever seen him play. Which, by the way, you know, Ross County haven't turned up today, but I mean, at this level, he should be a standout player. He just looks devoid of confidence.
Yeah, well, his situation is that Ross just needs to stay fit. He was my captain for about 7 years, and I probably stopped him getting to the Premier League before he did. He should have been playing the Premier League. I know Jim Goodwin thought the world of him and made the hard decision to let him go because he had horrendous injuries. He has done for the last couple of years. At Thistle, he hardly missed a game. He got one bad injury at Ayr United when we were good side, but other than that, he was absolutely fine. But I think, because I know Ross Docherty, I know he's not the type when they're not playing, just as Rory say, that is an issue, and he's not the type to turn his nose up at the Championship. I'm just thinking one or two others, I don't know, it might be, but it goes beyond that though. It goes beyond that. You're talking about a very close friend of mine possibly struggling for his job, and Ross County, as I've said, with the money they've spent, can't be going to, listen, difficult place to go, can't be going to Ross County, go to Wraith Rovers, sit in bottom of the league and lose 4, 5, 6 goals. It just can't happen.
Right, I want just one follow-up question from me in that, but just firstly back to Billy Dodger at Tannadice. Billy.
It's nearly a breakthrough. Fata just drives forward, runs about maybe 15-20 yards with the ball, scored a goal the other week there, very similar, and just tries to bend it in the bottom corner. And Murrow, taking a real chance, but getting out it, to be fair to them. But good, that's the best effort of the game from Fata, and there's a bit of pressure on here. Dundee United have nicked it. It's coming to life a little bit. There's a little bit of noise from the crowd, and I've not said that all day.
No, it was a good chance.
Kenny,
just wide.
See when Colley's talking about in terms of Tony Docherty's position, like, I think there's one of two things that happens here.
Right.
Tony Docherty himself clearly is feeling frustrated, disconnected, I would imagine, from a lot of the players that are already there. Ross County have got a decision to make in terms of, do they stick with Tony Docherty and give him January to try and resurrect this? And it needs an overhaul, clearly, yes. Right? Or it's then a case of, well, they change the manager and it's the same group of players. Who are you going to trust? Who are you going to back? Because it can't continue the way it is. There's going to need a big January window, and it might not be able to rectify all the issues that are there. But that's the two things that are going to happen. Either they change the manager or they're going to have to change the players.
But
and
Michael,
who do
the
you
problem
back?
they're going to have as well is, and it's been the same with Inverness, location for a start, and then secondly, it's where they are in the league.
Yeah, Alan, I'm not discounting that fact, but that's the two, regardless of whether they're able to achieve it or not, that's the two camps that they're going to have to decide.
Yeah, Mikey, you'll know yourself as well. I mean, January's a really tricky window, but, and this is something I said to Tony during the week there, it only takes 3 and you get them all right, they can change the mindset of a lot of the other
masses,
players,
the group.
and can really, really improve the team. So, I think big changes are required. But in January, if you can get 3 in that are the right ones, maybe a bit younger, maybe more legs, maybe a better mindset. It could change the mindset of the whole dressing room and kind of change the course of the season.
And energise the manager as well.
Can I ask one wee question, Ian? And I've got an interesting email in here on a separate subject, a little bit of interest, certainly to check in a couple of minutes' time. But in terms of this money that you're talking about that they're paying their players, so we're talking that would be the highest payers in the Championship and probably a fair way up the Premiership as well. Is that what you're saying? That's significant money they're paying the players? They blow most of these clubs out of the water. Ross County.
Yes, that's what I believe. Yeah.
And sometimes they have to, Kenny, because of the location. I've said that again.
Well, Alan, you would agree with that,
100%, Colin. 100%.
I know for a fact that that's the case. And
so
if you don't give them 500,
I
know you're going round, and quite rightly so, Colin. But it's, if you don't give them 400, 500 quid a week more, because you tend to find that clubs down in the West Coast are probably in for this kind of roughly the same players, and if you don't give them £400-500 a week more, and say Motherwell are in for them, clubs like that, they'll end up in St Mirren rather than go to Ross County. That's just the way it is.
Right, a couple of goals going in. Inverness Cali Thistle 3, Hamilton Accies 0. Alfie Babbage on 54 minutes. Annan Athletic have equalised at home to Forfar. Josh Dixon on 57, and Kelty Hearts have pulled a goal back away at Peterhead. So it's Peterhead 2, Kelty Hearts 1. Rico Diak with that goal on 56 minutes. Yeah, just this is of interest here, and Chick, I think, will be interested in this. So John Gall, the owner of Darvel, has been in touch. He sent us a message and he said, look, as owner of Darvel, we were allowed to play Aberdeen, but would never have been given a licence to play the Old Firm. That was stated quite clearly to us from Police Scotland and the council as well, who make, when we second this message just disappeared, who make the final decisions if the game is played. John, thanks very much indeed. That's really good clarity.
Kenny, I got a text from John Barnes there, Digger, and he was saying one of the things is the kick-off time of the Auchinleck game. Obviously, it's at 5:30.
Well, it goes back into the police situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
Just one small bit of news here, courtesy of the Eric Nicholson and the Courier.
Yes. Alan's got it.
Yes, St Johnston's leading scorer, Josh McPake, agreed a pre-contract with Hearts.
Why not just be quiet and let him speak?
Yeah, can I
That's old news, Michael.
Again, so Eric Nicholson at the Courier, and I've had it confirmed by Hearts as well. Not that I needed to, because Eric is a top operator. Josh McPake, St Johnston's leading scorer, has agreed a pre-contract move to Hearts.
Good story.
It's like I think Hearts are going to try and get him in January, but there's no guarantees there. But it's good. I mean, leading scorer, 13 goals at 23. Obviously scored twice last night.
Do you know, it's great to see somebody that clearly has ability but was drifting, goes to St Johnston, and Simo Valakari deserves a lot of credit because he's brought this ability to the fore. Credit to Josh McPake, who I think probably realised at this point that he needs to really start making an impact. And for Hearts, I just think it's another sensible signing. It's not going and signing players from all corners of the world exclusively. You're also looking domestically, which is massively important.
I tell you who you may hear, you might not want to discuss it pre-match, but we'll hear Derek McInnes on Sports and later on there at Falkirk tonight. So of course we get that access to the managers pre-match. So after the news at 7 o'clock, you'll hear from him and from John McGlynn. Just a goal going in elsewhere. Elgin City have equalised home to St Rajat Murray on 60 minutes, and Clyde have gone back in front away Edinburgh City. Kyle Connell on 56
Everyone
minutes.
was so desperate to steal your thunder there, weren't they, Tom?
Michael, I read it on the thunder. I was at the Chippy last week and I read it in the newspaper.
It's
Tom, the Beatles have split up. Honestly.
Good try, Tom. Good try.
I have to say, in Alan's defence, right?
I lost the plot here. This is not my story. It's Eric Nicholson's story.
And it's a great story.
Eric.
But if there's anyone across what's happening in Scottish football in terms of transfers, I think the message they get from Alan, I mean, absolutely across it.
Kenny, I think as well regarding Josh McPake, I think Valakari does deserve praise, but I think you can look back at it reminds me of Stephen Dobie's situation when he went to Dumbarton.
Yep.
He went to Stirling Albion. I think that's when the penny would have dropped.
You mean for Josh McPake?
Yes.
There's
no way I need to be playing at this level.
Yes.
Because I've seen him play and the boy had ability, but he was drifting big time.
Totally.
Was it not the same with Shankland at Ayr United?
What did you see? What was it? The thing that changed Lawrence Shankland? What did you see that turned him into the player he is now?
Just confidence, and he got himself in shape, I think, and he got a fright. I don't think he expected to be doing personal training and to be running about the park with a ball,
See, so you had a job as a personal trainer away from football, that's right, wasn't it?
He did a wee bit of stuff like that, and listen, he just got his body in shape and got himself fit, and his confidence started to soar.
Liam Boyce was the same, Colin. Liam Boyce was exactly the same.
Yeah. Sorry, nearly a goal there for Airdrie. It was McGrattan, and he's just slewed it past, just as you came to me there. He was 1-on-1 and he just put it past the right hand post. But sorry, Kenny, the best chance was 2 minutes into the second half. The outstanding Michael O'Garrity has got to score. Great cross from Moffat. He's got a wee volley from about 6 yards, sticks it over the top. But the McPake situation is sometimes it takes that type of player with ability is to go to a level that he realises is way beneath him. And McPake went to Stirling Albion, Dobie went to Dumbarton, Lawrence didn't even have a club. Sometimes that's the thing. I mean, I'm quite pleased that the managers get the credit for it, but it's very much about the penny dropping for the player.
Call it takes a combination of it all, because you could clearly see there are numerous circumstances or incidents where players dropped in there and they never come back.
Yeah.
And all it sometimes needs is that bit of luck, that bit of opportunity but it needs the player to recognise, look, and this is why I was talking about St Johnstone in particular, it was the opportunity to step back up to a level at a good club, but he also needed the manager then to be able to give him that licence, but he's got to go and take that opportunity. It's a combination of all those things, because there can be players that drop down the level and they recognise, I shouldn't be here, but they never get the opportunity to move back up.
I agree with that. The three I'm talking about, I think it was pretty obvious to anybody that they had an sorry, it's a goal for Airdrie, and I think it's Sean McGinty. It was just a hopeful punt into the box, and Sean McGinty's got above everybody and headed into the bottom corner of the net. And it was a really good finish, really good header from about 8 yards.
And
Morton 0, Airdrie 1.
And that's bad news. That is bad news for Ross County. So Ian McCall bringing us that update there from Capitals. Let's find out now about County. They're away at Rovers today, and absolutely dire from them this afternoon, Rory Loy.
Yeah, they've been poor. Race Rovers have capitalised, I have to say. Race Rovers have scored just about every chance they've had, bar one where Dylan Easton had a shot saved, and County have crashed the crossbar. But we've spoken a lot about Ross County, naturally but what a start for Dougie Imrie as well. I mean, he's shored up the defence massively since he's come in. Good solid draw at Perth last week against Johnson, and they've blown Ross County away with pretty much every attack. Paul McMullen's been a standout, Dylan Easton's been a standout. Dylan Easton played in behind the striker last week as a number 10. He's playing out wide this week. He's made a bigger impact, and they're leading 4-0.
Yeah, really tough afternoon for County through there at Starks Park. Let's get to the game. Queen's Park against Dunfermline. Get the latest from Chick Young.
Still 1-0 to Queen's Park. The goal coming in the 39th minute from Henry Fieldson. The game, the quality of the game improved at the wake of that. The wind and the rain and probably the tide as well, just sweeping Queen's Park down the park. The Dunfermline trying at the moment, they're just peppering the box with crosses at the moment. Queen's Park just defending them, getting them away. It's an interesting game. I think that Dunfermline have upped. There's just been a couple of substitutions, incidentally. Zach Rudden's one of the players come on, Josh Cooper as well. I think they feel they can just get an equaliser here, and actually maybe the game is beginning to swing there, but it's 1-0 to Queen's Park at the moment though, Kenny.
Another goal at Gayfield. Willie Miller.
Yeah, it goes to the home side. Arbroath and Fire here had a couple of opportunities early in the second half. Obviously got the goal as well, but it was Gavin Riley that's got the second. Good work down the left hand side, cross into the box. Gavin Riley totally unmarked to slaughter into the back end. 2-0 Arbroath.
Chance somewhat.
Sorry, Willie. I mean, it was nearly a brilliant goal. It was nearly a Kenny McLean from Sybold. You'll get a look at it, lads, and it's just missed the post.
Who was it, Dodgy? Sybold. Oh, he's a good player, isn't he?
It was just a poor ball. Motherwell playing out, gets it, and he knows the goalkeeper as well.
Goal! back in the game. Wakila, he holds off Kametio, and the keeper comes out, he whips it round him into the back of the net. Game back on here at the Setfair Stadium. Livingston 1, Dundee 2.
Does well, doesn't he?
I'm just looking at Sybil's shot for behind the goal. That is so close.
He's even further out of McLean.
Aye.
Well, it's starting to break out in this game. I mean, I think it's Callum Hendry now with a bent effort, curled it towards that left-hand post, and the goalkeeper does well to get it away. Richards with a save down to his left-hand side. Good stop.
Right, so I just want to bring you up to date. I've been looking, we're talking about Ross County all afternoon, and we'll get some fan reaction later, but just at the live table right now, so Airdrie, they're up to 8, they're in 17 points. Queen's Park, 16 points. County, 4 points adrift at the bottom of the table. 5 points adrift have been clear of that playoff spot in 9th, so really worrying times for them. And actually, just before we're going on to telly at about 4:30 for an hour, so before we get on there, just one thing I did want to get the thoughts of our pundits on, because I was reminded there, I saw a second goal coming in for Liverpool this afternoon. It's a second goal of the game for Ikitike. Billy Dodds, how would you have reacted if one of your players had come out and spoken to the media the way that Mo Salah did? Would he have been finished, or would he have been way back?
No, you would have tried to talk it out, of course.
Salah got the assist for that goal, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go, or I kept him.
Yeah.
Of course, you try and work it out, not unless he's really, really... he did go over the top. I mean, why not just come and chat your door and you talk to it? Because I always put my player's head on and the manager's head on, and you try to understand them. But I would never have gone to the press, and not that many managers that I felt terrible towards, and I got on with nearly all of them. But what I would say is...
Nearly.
Yeah, nearly all. Alex
Miller,
but he wasn't a bad lad, Alex. No, not at all, Colin. I mean, we played up at Dundee and with an unbelievable understanding on the... Yeah. Sometimes I did his nut, and sometimes he did my nut, and that, we would say that.
You were so good, Colin.
There was always respect there. Yeah, there was always respect. But we had our moments.
Ian McCall, how would you have dealt with a situation with Salah?
Dodgy, good players want to play with good players. Yeah. Anyway, well, do you know what? See, the thing that you usually say with managers, you treat everybody the same. Unfortunately, that's not true. You don't. So it depends what player it was. The greatest example of that is Sir Alex with Eric Cantona. He didn't treat him the same as the rest of the players. So I think...
And Roy Keane.
Yeah, well, I think Salah needed to be treated a little bit differently. Whether that's... There was always a...
Sorry to interrupt here, Colin, but there always becomes a stage where it all happens and it all works as long as on the park the goods are being delivered. Once that starts to taper off, the treatment becomes more difficult to be able to justify, and that is the issue here. And he's getting to the stage of his career where he's just starting to taper off.
Yeah, I don't think the Van Dijk 2-year contract was ever going to be an issue, but the type of player Mo Salah was, really, that was always going to be... I think it was impossible for him to reproduce what he reproduced last year.
And it was impossible for Liverpool as well, because he had, as you just said quite rightly, a season from the heavens last year, and his contract's coming out, but he's at an age where you're really going, what did we... it was a really difficult situation for Liverpool.
And just from a purely football point of view, he doesn't just rely on technique, he relies on legs and pace and that type of thing, and that is one thing that, as you go older, does go a little bit. I don't see where it's... I thought when he came out with that type of statement, I know Jamie Carragher did a bit that was really, really quite strong on it. I didn't see a way back for him, but if Tom's telling me he's playing today or he's made the goal, that's great. And I think he's going away to the African Nations Cup, whatever it's called now, at exactly the right time, and Ian, it can be sorted.
Ian, we're going to go on telly in a couple of minutes' time. Which player throughout your managerial career presented you with the biggest challenges?
Charlie Miller must have been one of them, but I've got to say, but only because he was so good.
Great player.
I mean, he was a top player, and Billy Dodds will tell you that. I mean, when he was coming into the last 5 months of his contract, when he got himself fit, I mean, he was playing against the Celtic midfielders and the Rangers midfielders. I'm talking Barry Ferguson, Paul Lambert, Lennon, all these guys, taking the mickey out of them. I mean, he was absolutely blessed. But away from the pitch, it was reasonably hard for Charlie. listen, see, in a game it was easy to manage him. It was all the other times it was harder.
Do you miss it, managing?
Yeah, I mean, I think Martin O'Neill has showed that there's life in the experienced ones. I mean, he's about 15 years. No, do you know what it is? See your circle of, I don't know if Billy Dodds thinks, the circle of jobs that you took when you were younger, you'd have went anywhere to take a job. Now at 61, I'm thinking within 15 miles of the West End of Glasgow. So, I mean, there's about 5 jobs I can take, so but one of them might come up, who knows?
You never know. Right, we're going to go on television in a couple of minutes' time, and we'll go around the grounds then, just as updates. Just seen the pictures come in here, Tom, into the studio, Stephen Presley orchestrating things there. A bit of concern now with Livy having that lifeline.
Yeah, and it was a good finish by Bakila, plenty of strength and a good finish. It's game on there, isn't it? The stakes are so high.
Oh.
I mean, who'd be a manager? The stress on both of those guys must be through the roof now.
Yeah, it's very, very tight. It's just how we look at the live table in the top, just at the bottom of the table right now, given that's the game we're focusing on at the moment. So Livingston, they are 4 points adrift at the bottom of the table. Kilmarnock at 12 points, Livingston 8 points, St Mirren 14 points. Of course, we've got the League Cup final tomorrow. We previewed that earlier on. We've got a fan of St Mirren, a fan of Celtic join us later in the programme. Some music, there'll be a theme, a cup final theme to that as well, and also got a wee quiz later on.
No, not another quiz.
You're not involved.
Oh, thank God.
Michael is going to work with a fan tonight for the quiz questions. First fan up is a Motherwell fan later, so it'll be Michael the Motherwell fan later.
You're involved in the quiz later on.
Oh, I've been told, and I thank goodness you're not involved.
I said you.
My sentiment's exactly.
I said to you with his lifeline. He said, "No, you're all right. You're all right. I'll go on my own." So that's coming up later on. That'll be good fun. So the fans
all right
with
last
us.
week.
You did actually. The fans with us from 5:30. So lots to talk about because the game's right now, lots on the line, particularly that game in difficult conditions through there at Almond Vale. So lots to talk about. We're on the telly for an hour tonight, and then the programme will continue on the radio 5:30 until 7 o'clock. And from 7 o'clock, we'll have to David Curry and the team at the Falkirk Stadium. Huge game there tonight, Falkirk against Hearts. So welcome to viewers who have joined us on BBC One Scotland. As ever, plenty of drama in Scottish football. Both the games kicking off at 3 o'clock in the top flight, coming into the studio here today. Really difficult conditions across the country today. Let's get to the game up at Tannadice. Dundee United are at home to Motherwell. Get the very latest from Billy Dodds.
Where it's just coming to light, just as just blasts across a shot just over the crossbar. Still 0-0 here. It was a poor first half. Second half, there really has been a few efforts. Fata had a run and curved a shot just wide. Just then a deflected shot. Slattery then dragged a 20-yarder just past the post, and Sybil nearly did a Kenny McLean with a brilliant effort from just a bit beyond the halfway line and just went inches past. Then Hendry's test the goalkeeper. So plenty of chances here. The game springing to life, but still 0-0 at Tannadice.
Billy, before I bring the guys in the studio, is there anything you'd like to see either man change up there, either manager change to really take a hold of this game?
Not really. There's a corner coming in. I'm not really, Kenny. This is a one where you've got to trust your players. It's such a tight game where you might just introduce a sub for freshness. I wouldn't be changing positional, but what I would be doing is like for like to try and just get a bit of energy on the pitch and see if somebody can get a winner.
Kenny, what I would do, and if I look at Motherwell, and I'm just looking at the stats, and not that I'm overly.
They've got 3 coming on, Michael.
Is Longolo one of them? Yeah, I would imagine he will be.
Yes.
71% possession for Motherwell. I think that's just what we've come to expect. They're a team that dominate the ball, but Longolo in particular for me, just because Katumbas has played on the left-hand side and done well, but I just think at times when there isn't anybody else who's holding the touchline in front of him there, he's naturally right-footed. He's going to come, and it just narrows things off a little bit. Longolo is very, very good.
Oh, what a good save!
At driving the team forward and bringing you that width. If you're going to try and stretch a back 5 from Dundee United, you really need to get that width from both sides. I think Longo will certainly help to do that.
Right, we'll get to Alan Preston, and before that we'll get to Willie Miller up at Arbroath. 4 games in the Championship today. Just some goal news before we get there. Stirling Albion equalised home to Spartans, 1 apiece there. Corey Thompson with the goal in that game, and also Alloa 0, Cunha of the South 2, Liam Smith with the second goal there for the wayside in 76 minutes. Let's then go into the Championship, the game at Gayfield. Willie Miller is there for us. Apologies, we've got technical issues here today, but Willie, a major thing has just happened in that game.
Yeah, it's Craig Watson. He's been sent off. It was a rather rash challenge. It was a straight leg. It was studs showing, and really the referee is right on top of it. So Arbroath are now down to 10 men. They've been totally on top in the second half. Scored, both goals as well. Looking as though they're cruising. Partick really struggling. And then they get a man sent off. So it is Craig Watson that's been sent off in the second half here.
Thanks to Willie. Apologies to the quality of the line. The pressure very much on Thistle today after that fantastic result for St Johnstone last night. We'll get back to the championship in a few minutes' time, but let's get back to the other 3 o'clock kick-off in the top flight this afternoon. It's a massive game. Livingston against Dundee at the bottom of the table. Alan Preston is there for us.
Well, it's Livingston 1, Dundee 2, and Dundee had all the elements in that first half. The wind and the rain pelting into the Livingston players' faces, and Dundee took advantage. 13 minutes, Hamilton with a shot, really good save by Prior, knocks it out, and there was Jan Dander over the volley. Lovely finish from Dander to put Dundee 1-0 up. 5 minutes later it was 2-0. Yogan on the left hand side, his cross found fellow winger on the other side, Congreve, and he volleyed it home. But Livingston got back into it in the second half. As I said, they now have all the elements and they're pushing for an equaliser, but their goal came in 64 minutes. The ball was played through to Bakila. Great strength to hold off Cometio, and as the keeper came out, he smashed it into the back of the net, getting them right back into this game. It's all Livingston in the second half, but it's still Dundee who lead by 2-1.
Yeah, horrendous conditions, Tom. We're seeing the pictures coming into the studio here, driving rain through there in West Lothian, but that was a real quality finish from Dander in the first half, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, you could say the goalkeeper should have done better, but he's got a strong hand to that. He's parried it away from goal. The goalkeeper, I'd say, would have bet the house that ball was good. He's cleared it into a safe area. But Dander's come in and his accuracy in the finish, because the ball is coming to him at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's finished it really, really well. So yeah, I think you'd be overly picky if you criticise the goalkeeper. Credit the goal scorer.
And you'd have to say, as Alan was telling us there, Michael, right back in at the home side there. We'll get your thoughts just a minute. So it was a good finish from Bakila, but another goal at Gayfield. Willie Miller.
Yeah, Partick getting one back. Taylor Stephen it is in this occasion. The ball coming in from the left-hand side. He's unmarked and he just strikes it, volleys it into the back of the net from close range. So man sent off and Partick back into the game. 2-1 for the home side, though still.
5-0 Raith Rovers.
Right, you can hear in the background it is an absolute disaster. A really terrible day for Ross County at Starks Park. Let's get the latest from Rory Lloyd.
Yes, indeed. Paul Nisio makes it 5-0. It was a really good save from Trevor Carson from another substitute, Josh Mullen, but Nisio's first to react. Terrible reactions in defending from Ross County, it has to be said, and he adds the 5th of the day. The first game on 8 minutes, a deep cross from McMullen, headed back across. Scott Brown finished that one off. McMullen in 14 was tripped inside the penalty box, and Dylan Easton stuck the penalty away really nicely. Jai Rowe with the goal of the game, half volley from 25-30 yards, lasered into the bottom corner, and we've just had our 5th one there, which I've just told you about. So 6s and 7s at the back for Ross County. Raith Rovers superb on the day. They lead 5-0.
Thanks to Rory Lloyd. Tom English. We'll get the fan element between 5:30 and 7 o'clock, and BBC at Radio Scotland. A Ross County fan will join us. I know he goes to most of the games. We had a very strong post-match interview from Tony Docherty last weekend. He went for some of his players. He was questioning their mentality. It was going to be interesting to see what reaction they got to. Look at the live table. They're 4 points adrift at the bottom, and we've already had the discussion on the radio. There've got to be serious question marks now over his position.
Look, this is the kind of result that signals the end for me. You know, it's bottom of the league. He's gone to town on his players, hoping for a reaction, and they're losing 5-0. I would not be surprised if this was...
thought, Tom, it could be 6. Oh, poor choice of pass. They were in again there, in behind, but Ross County managed to get it away this time.
This to me, Rory, sounds like one of those results that you just do not recover from as a manager.
I mean, some of the players that I have watched for years and know relatively well, some of them just look totally different players. They look devoid of confidence, devoid of ideas, and they deserve to be 5-0 down with this performance today, Tom.
Really, how would you have reacted as a player if your manager quite publicly is critical and particularly questioning your mentalities? Look, I've learnt a lot with these players. He's questioning their attitude, and he said big changes would have to happen in January. Now, whether the manager gets to see January or not, we don't know. But as a player, how would you have reacted to that?
Well, I touched on it earlier. If that message has been communicated for weeks to the players themselves, and the manager says, look, I can't protect you any longer in the public, I think there's an understanding there from a player's point of view that you've got to do better. I think the players have got to take a lot of responsibility today, because a couple of the goals they conceded, that goal just there, defenders had an opportunity to react and get rid of the ball. The same for the first goal, which Scott Brown makes up extra yards to get there first to score. So Listen, I do think it's a very difficult position for Tony Docherty now, but the players have to take more responsibility today, because whilst they probably still would have been beaten, it should not have been 5.
Right, just a correction, Alex Samuel with that goal for Partick Thistle. They're right backing up against 10-man Arbroath now. Arbroath 2, Partick Thistle 1. Samuel with that goal on 77 minutes. Inverness Catholic Thistle 4, Hamilton Accies 0. Billy Mackay on 74 minutes. That's you up to date, and just confirmation that 5th goal for Wraith Rovers. Paul Seal with that goal on 77. And an Athletic in front at home to Forfar. Charlie Maxwell in 79 minutes. 2-1 in that game. Michael, just before we go to the other championship game, just back to that game at Ammon Vale. It was a really nice, strong finish, wasn't it, from the Livingston player, Bakila. Wait a minute, before we get there, let's get to the game in the south side of Glasgow. Chit Young.
It's been coming for a while, and Dunfermline have equalised. It's a corner on the left-hand side, and I think it's Chilicoa Mullen who scores against a header. It comes off a player in the middle, little far post, he meets it there, knocks over the line. Dunfermline are level. Just before that, actually, Andy Todd was around the goalkeeper, couldn't squeeze it in. They got a player across to Queen's Park to clear it off the line from the corner kick, but it was Charlie Gilmer actually who got that into the net eventually. Gilmer's been credited with the goal, but in any case, it is Queen's Park 1, Dunfermline 1.
Thanks to Chick there. Celtic Hearts have equalised away at Peterhead 2 apiece there. Luke McCarville with the goal on 79 minutes. Clyde 3-1 up now away at Edinburgh City. Kyle Connell on 80 minutes. Michael, just back to that game, perhaps a nervy 10 minutes or so for Stephen President Dundee after Bakila doing well to get Livy back into it.
Yeah, I think Cometio needs to do better defensively when he's slipped through. Bakila it's too easy holding off the defender, but it certainly breathes life back into Livy's match here. It gives them a chance, there's no doubt about it. The longer it stayed at 2-0, then you just think the confidence is going to drain out of Livingston, but getting that goal, it definitely puts the game on a knife's edge.
It's been a real struggle for Cove Rangers this season. They're behind at home to East Fife. Gregor Nicol with the goal late on there for the away side. And just confirmation that Charlie Gilmer equaliser away for Dunfermline at Queen's Park. Some fans.
6-0 Wraith Rovers, and it's Jack Hamilton. And once again, Trevor Carson has made the save initially from Ross Matthews. It comes back out, and Jack Hamilton follows up while the Ross County defence stand and watch. It's Wraith Rovers 6, Ross County 0.
So what do you do with that? Obviously, by the sounds of it, Rory, these players have down tools. Is that too much of a cliche? Is that too glib? But the manager is ultimately responsible for it.
You can't sack 20 players.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I've been on the end of some heavy defeats myself, and it's difficult to manage at times, and you're devoid of confidence. I don't think any player intentionally downs tools. However, it's certainly not a good look for the very few fans that have travelled down from Dingwall, Tom.
6-0.
I mean, that's incredible.
It's not a good look when you do take the opportunity to call them out, as you call it, Tom, honesty, and then there's a chance for Motherwell, and then you get that reaction. That is for sure. That's not a good thing.
And Billy, we were discussing it on the radio. Ian McCall was talking about it. You get experience of it. This is a club that pays very good money for these players. Money that a lot of players in the top flight won't be getting, and they're just not getting value for money right now.
No, they're definitely not getting that. But what you would have to say, yeah, they're probably looking at it and think, in fact, absolutely certainly going, we've got it wrong. But it has worked for them in the past. When you look at a group of players and you think, right, they're free in the summer or the January transfer window, we'll bring them in, and Roy puts some money in there and comes up with a couple of suggestions, and he's got it right in the past with certain people. But you'd have to say this recruitment has gone totally wrong.
And Billy, in terms of your game, about 9 minutes plus stoppage time to go, are we likely to see a winner, do you think?
A better second half. I mean, both teams have been so evenly matched. Michael was talking about Lagella coming on, but they've made about 5 subs, 3 for Motherwell, 2 for Dundee United, but it's the same positions. It's just such a hard one to call. There's been a few chances, it's been a better second half, but I'm not sure if we'll get a winner. It's that kind of feeling today.
Billy, would you see it as a positive, albeit they're at home, but given the run Dundee United have been on and given how good Motherwell have been in recent weeks, you think Jim Goodwin would see it as a good point today?
For exactly those reasons, yeah. I still think when things like the Rangers goal happens to you in the last seconds of the game, I still think he's desperate for a winner just to kick-start his team. That'll still go down as a start of no wins or 1 win in 11. So he wants to get rid of that. He wants to patch that right away, and he'll be desperate. But I think with all things taken into account today, I think before the game, I think we'll do I would take a point against Motherwell. They're doing ever so well. We're struggling. It wouldn't be a bad point, but desperate now. He's got to this stage in the game. He'll be thinking, just somebody score a winner for us to get us going.
This will be, if it finishes 0-0, it'll be sixth draw in that run.
He's onside. He's hit the side net. Josh Bullen clean through on goal. It should be 7. He times his run perfectly. Defender standing watching. He should have scored that, and it should be 7-0, but it remains 6.
Wow,
yeah, it's incredible.
Like that is extraordinary. And you look at it. It's 6 today. It was 2 against Airdrieonians. It was 3 against Morton. It was 3 against Ayr. It was 3 against Arbroath. Tony Dock. He lost his job at Dundee on the face of it because his defensive record of his team was really poor. The defensive record of this team is really poor. So it's happening again.
Yeah, a long afternoon, a long drive back for the county fans that have made the journey down in difficult conditions across the country. Montrose 3, Sennismuir 0. Callum Sandlands with a goal.
It's a goal!
Alan Preston.
Unbelievable, it's 2-2. Yengi, the subs came on. It's a ball, it's a corner, comes back to Macaulay Tate, who whips it to the back post.
Oh my God.
Yengi heads it down, and I think McCracken makes a mess of that. Does it go through his legs?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get a replay in the studio here. I mean, Michael's head is in his hands, and no wonder
just heard Michael going, oh my God.
And quite rightly, so wait, you see this, so you can see Sportscene is on tonight, 10:20, I think, is it BBC One Scotland? It's on tonight later because, of course, the late kick-off at the Falkirk Stadium. But, Michael, we're just waiting for a replay to come into the studio here, but that was...
shocking.
Here we are, Michael. Just talk us through it.
Well, it's just a big, deep cross to the back post. Yengi heads it, and McCracken goes to actually... It looks like he goes to control it with his boot, and it goes through his legs. It's truly horrific goalkeeping, honestly. How that's ending up in the back of the net is inexcusable. It's not even a strong header.
It comes off his chest, does it?
Oh my God! Like, seriously, it's inexcusable.
What is he? Is he trying to think he's just controlling that? What is he trying to do there?
You're talking about McCracken,
yeah,
the goalie. I've got no idea. I've honestly no idea.
If you're going to back somebody to win this game, it's Livingston. They've been terrific in the second half.
And what a turnaround, Alan. I mean,
they've been brilliant.
They were cruising, weren't they? Just to give some context in this.
Don't get me wrong, the conditions are dreadful. Yengi's through. Almost through Yengi. The conditions are dreadful. Dundee had the elements in the first half and took advantage. 2-0 up at half time. And then you think, right, Livingston's turn now. They got back in it with Bakila. Now that will be Yengi. Livingston have still got the elements, so you would think that they would be the ones to force the issue. Dundee have hardly been up. The part of the second half, it's been all Livingston. They deserve to be back level terms. Speaking to people at half time, they were saying if this goes 3, I'm out of here. They were booed off, but they've been terrific in the second half.
Maybe Kenny was right, Alan. Maybe it was David Martindale's experience of these type of games.
Thank you, Ian McCall.
No problem.
1 hour and a half. Thank you for righting that wrong of earlier on. Tom, it's an incredible turnaround.
Amazing turnaround. I mean, you could tell the momentum had completely switched to Livingston. Dundee have another attack of note in the second half, I don't think. So now
the goalkeeping's that's just unacceptable.
The goalkeeping is unbelievable. Wait till people see it. It's remarkable. I'm still
just
puzzled as to what he was supposed to be doing there.
I mean, it's truly awful.
It's a deep cross from probably 30 yards out, swung to the back post. Yengi is maybe about 6 yards on the angle, headed it towards the goal. No great pace or anything on it. And John McCracken is literally at the back post, blocking off. There's no way he's going in. And somehow he manages to allow the ball to go through his legs. I mean, that is so bad.
What do you do as a manager? So after the game, Stephen Presley will be asked for this. How can you defend that? What can you say?
That's the difficulty for managers at times, because he's then having to think longer term.
Yes.
And this is his goalkeeper. What does he do? What does he say? And that's where I've got a lot of sympathy for managers, because with every sinew in his body, he'll be trying to stop himself from going mental, I would imagine.
The thing is, at the press conference, though, you've got an easy out, because outfield players make 10 mistakes in a game. If the goalie makes one, we end up losing a goal, but that's not what he'll be feeling.
No, I mean, it's an absolute shock. You watch it in Sportscene tonight. Peterhead 3, Kelty Hearts 2, Jason Brown in 87 minutes. Ian McCall, you're hearing his voice there. Ian's down at Capello this afternoon. What's happening, Ian?
Well, Kenny, do you know what? The weather is atrocious, but it has been an absolutely fabulous game of football. I don't know how Morton's getting beat now. I mean, the first half was nip and tuck, but Airdrie took the lead just with a bog standard free kick into the box from McMaster. Big Sean McGinnity towered about everybody and knocked his header into the net. Since then, Morton have absolutely dominated. Aaron Lyle, the substitute, he's got to score from a cross from Moffat. And then Tommy Adeloy, I do not know how he didn't score. He was a yard out. I mean, literally a yard. Think Billy Bremner, 1974. But I don't know whether it's hit Craig Ross on the line or whether it's really, really good defending. But Morton don't deserve to be getting beat. But you know what? Credit to everybody that's here, and particularly the players for putting on this type of game. So it's still 1-0 to Airdrie at Capello.
Yeah, good to hear. A great advert for the championship in very difficult conditions today. It looks like a late winner for Strathway Elgin City. That goal coming in the stoppage time, 92nd minute, that goal going in there. So they've been in a decent run of form, Harston and Rar off late. Let's get back to Billy Dodds up there at Tannerise. Again, Billy, I think we're all really looking forward to, you'd have to say, aside Dundee United who have got good players, albeit they're in a poor run of form. Motherwell absolutely flying, a joy to watch. But would you blame the conditions today, Billy, for the poor game?
No, not at all. It's not too bad here. There was a bit of wind and there was a wee scattering of rain, but the wind, I'm trying to look at the flag here, it's not too bad, Kenny, so no excuses. It's been broken up a little bit. There have been chances this second half. Dundee United going for it. It's quite open this second half, which is good. Dolchek on the ball here. Both teams look threatening, I would say that. Both teams trying for the winner, even late on.
Starks Park, Raith Rovers 6, Ross County 0.
Right, okay, let's
the chance! Oh, he's gone for the cutback. I think it's Will Ferry, a little 1-2, and he's through, but I think he should maybe try and score. Maybe the angle's against him, maybe him being harsh, but he tries for the cutback and the chance is gone.
Good goalkeeping though. Credit the goalie, sharp.
Yeah, he was out, Tom, to narrow it, but maybe just clip it over him or get it under him, try anything to get a shot on target.
I think he was, as soon as he was slipped through, I think it was in his mind that he was wanting to cut it back, Doddsy. I don't think he was ever setting himself to shoot.
Had that feeling about it, Mikey.
Yeah, we'll go to the championship full times. I kind of just heard from Rory Loy there, an absolutely thumping win for Raith Rovers. Well done to Dougie Emery just in the door there. Real pressure you'd have to feel on Tony Dockett, the county manager. We'll get reaction to that a little later. We've got a full-time report from Rory. But let's get to the game at Amon Vale. Livingston against Dundee. That bottom of the table clash. Alan Preston is there for us. Very much game on now, Al.
It is, and we've just been into 6 added-on minutes. The referee had a problem with his battery pack. Hence the reason why we're going to be having 6 minutes of added-on time. It's been brilliant stuff. Really good. Total game of 2 halves though, Kenny. Dundee dominated first half, 2-0 up. Livingston right back in it. Honestly, they're flooding forward. He's thrown every striker he's got in the club. I'm just waiting on David Bingham coming on. It's been that, honestly. There's not many strikers left. David Goodall, credit to him, he's been chucking them on, and they've got themselves back in the game.
That's gone back a few years, actually, David Bingham. But in terms of the game, Alan, is there anything you've noticed that has changed, that has swung it back in Livy's favour? Is it a change the manager made, perhaps? Or?
No, I think it's the weather conditions. I'm being brutally honest. It was been very difficult to get out. You could see it in that opening period. Livingston were struggling. They were hemmed back, and Dundee took advantage. But Davy just being Davy, he's just thrown caution to the wind, just thrown forwards on. He's got every forward in his club on now to try and get back in the game, and even now he just brought Muirhead on, another forward thinking player, to go and try and win it. So good on him, but Dundee a little half chance here, but it's going through the keeper. So I still think there's a chance in here. It just depends what one's going to get it.
Tom, we'll look at the league tables later on. We'll do the classified, look at the league tables. But as things stand, Livingston 9 points, Kilmarnock 12, Dundee on 13 points. St Mirren above them in 14. They've of course got the cup final tomorrow. They've got some games in hand. Right now, would you say, do you think it's between the 3 at the bottom as things stand? Would you?
If you look at that, you would. Kilmarnock are right in it. I mean, if Livingston get a winner now, they're only a point behind Kilmarnock at the end of the business. So I think it's the 3 of them. They're the 3 teams that are looked to be in big trouble, really. And the rest of them, St Mirren, Dundee United, Falkirk, and there's no issue there. Yeah, I would separate the 3 of them.
Yeah, very tough times for these clubs, no doubt at all about that. Let's go back to Chick Young. He's watching Queen's Park against Dunfermline Athletic. What's happening, Chick?
Well, we're into 5 minutes of time added on. We're well into that. Actually, probably played 3 minutes of that. Dunfermline, remember, equalising after Queens took the lead after 39 minutes. It was Fieldson with the goal for them, Henry Fieldson early on, but Charlie Gilmore has equalised after 81 minutes, and of Fairmont now, maybe with the last chance of a free kick outside the box here. Queen's Park with players back in numbers, actually almost every player in the park by the goalkeeper, just on the threshold of that 18-yard line. Interesting free kick on the left-hand side for Dunfermline to swing this in. It's not been a great game, Kenny. It's ebbed and flowed. We really like the weather has done all afternoon. The wind blowing down this City Stadium from left to right as I look on from the far side, away from them where the main stand is. The Dunfermline have not made much of that. Queen's Park are away. It remains 1 apiece, and we're well into that 5 minutes now of time added on, Kenny.
Right, let's get back to Willie Miller up at Gayfield again. Apologies for the quality of the line here, but the full-time whistle is gone. Willie.
It is, yeah, and it's a victory for Arbroath. What a magnificent victory for them. 10 men towards the end of the game as well. They had to battle all the way through. They got themselves 2-0 up. But then when Craig Watson got himself sent off, it was really difficult towards the end of the game. The last 15-20 minutes they were battered, and Alex Samuel got one back for Partick. They had chance after chance, did Partick Thistle, but they couldn't convert, and it finished after about 5-6 minutes of injury time here. 2-1 for the home side. What a magnificent victory in dreadful conditions, but a very exciting and entertaining game, I must say. It kept you on the edge of your seat, but it's Arbroath that take the 3 points.
Yeah, thanks to Will. We'll look at the table later
Kenny,
on.
it's full time.
Yeah, Chuck.
Full time at the City Stadium.
Full time at Capello as well, Kenny.
Right, so thanks to Chick, thanks to Ian McCall. So a victory for the Wayside there, Ian.
I mean, terrific, absolutely terrific game of football. I mean, with the last kick of the ball, Owen Moffat for Morton hit the outside of the post with a strike. So terrific game. Morton can count themselves really unlucky to go down in it, but a great advert for the championship in horrific conditions.
Yeah, we'll get more from the guys, more meat in the bone later on in the programme. Just looking at that championship table, must give an awful lot of credit to Arbroath. Part-time club, they are third in the table, 29 points, 5 points clear of Ayr United, who occupy the last of the playoff spots. As things stand then, St Johnstone 38 points, Thistle 35, Arbroath 29, Ayr United on 24 points. So let's get back to that game through there at Almond Vale. Livingston at home to Dundee, deep in the stoppage time, Alan.
Card.
Right, Alan?
I think Ryan McGowan's off. Yep, straight red. The referee will have a look at it.
Oh.
It's a sub-aqua. He's gone through. McCowan grabs him, pulls him down, right in front of the referee. No hesitation. Red card. Have a look at it.
Well, certainly, just we're looking at it in real time there, and it doesn't look like anything other than what's happened. Although Ryan McGowan is claiming that he's the one that's been getting fouled, getting his jersey pulled.
He's standing on. He's not going off, Michael, at the moment. So he's adamant that he's been getting his jersey pulled.
Well, he has, but he's also got a hold of the striker, and then he just collapses like a concertina and pulls the striker down.
He was going clean through, wasn't he?
I can't see it. I can't see it being overturned.
Obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, that's
they're pulling each other's shirts.
Time at Tannadice as well. It's finished 0-0 here.
Thanks to Billy Dodds, disappointing game up there this afternoon. Goalless Dundee United and Motherwell. So we just that's been confirmed, Alan, has it?
Yes, he's away off now.
Yeah, just watching the pictures coming in here, Tom. It was a professional foul just coming up there in the video printer in the 96th minute, but probably quite an important foul to make in reality, because that was going to be a golden chance for Dundee, wasn't it?
Yeah, an important foul they could have scored, but then it's an important player that they're going to be missing now.
Yeah. Yeah,
a very experienced defender, just come back into the team, and he's gone, and that's a bit of a sickener on what looks like so far a pretty positive day for Livingston, coming back from 2-0 to make it 2-2.
2-2 at Livingston. Great game, really good.
Yeah, 2-2 in that game. A great fight back from Davy Martindale's side. They had gone into a 2-0 lead their away side. They looked fairly comfortable, but after half-time, they really changed things up, the home side, and they got themselves a draw. Ryan McGowan sent off right at the death there. So I think that's all the final whistles gone across the country this afternoon. We'll do the classifieds for you, and then we'll have a look at the table. And just a reminder as well, we're on BBC Radio Scotland right through until probably just after 10 o'clock tonight, so that the plan is we're on television, BBC One Scotland through until 5:30. Then we'll take the news, then we'll get post-match reaction to these 3 o'clock games. We'll be joined by fans of various clubs, including a Ross County fan tonight. What will he have to say about the position of the manager, Tony Docherty? We'll get reaction from the manager, we'll hear from the pundits, and then we'll start to build up to that 8 o'clock kick-off. Full coverage to come on BBC Radio Scotland tonight. Should be a great game up there at the Falkirk Stadium. Falkirk at home to Hearts. We'll be joined by Hearts trying to get his thoughts now. And of course, we'll look ahead to tomorrow's League Cup final. What a game it should be at Hampden. That is St Mirren against Celtic. Full coverage right here on Sports. And so let's then have a look at the classified score lines for you this afternoon. Some really important games with a serious impact on the tables right across the country. There were 2 games in the top flight. We'll get the full time report as well from the guys in a couple of minutes' time. Just get a bit more detail on that. Alan saying it was a really great game through there at Livingston. So there's the classified scores for you now in the top flight. Dundee